namesake fate. Right afterwards, Sheer Cold are looking to breeze over Fifth Dimension, but they will have to show a better side of themselves. So, let's get our beach chairs ready, sip a glass of distilled Schadenfreude and expectations, because we're ready to go straight in. My name is the Olimancer, I'm your broken floating device, and with me is the Wizard of Waves, the Fish School of Facts, and my favourite meta mermaid, Ocean. Hello Ocean, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, and this is going to be a really interesting day 5 of Contenders Trials. Our first game in particular, we'll start off by talking about that. Disaster versus Olden Board. Olden Board have actually looked surprisingly good. I wasn't really expecting too much of this Contenders Trials. The wins that they have got have been tight and difficult wins, but they've managed to get them across the line. Disaster, to be honest, it's been a bit of a disaster from them. What I'm looking for them today is the individuals. Can some individuals prove themselves on this level?
Right, you're absolutely right. And if you look at the individual play on the side of Disaster, who is the person, or who are the people that we should be looking at most for? Who are the, the carriers of their still remaining hope to stay in this trials, or maybe even move up?
I think there are two players that I like on Disaster, and these two players have to show up. Otherwise, if they lose today, they're getting back down to Open Division. They cannot go over to Contenders, and of course, there's no staying in Contenders Trials nonsense this year. You get relegated, back down to Open Division. And those two players, Flex DPS, Nico GDH, of course, most well known for being on this Paris Eternal in the Overwatch League, and of course, well known for a lot of Contenders triumphs previously, so no stranger to the Contenders scene. And the other player is a slightly younger player in the main support role, slightly more known in North America, and that is Momentum. I think Momentum is a very, very quality main support. It's a little bit of a shining light for this team.
It is. Now, looking at what we have on the side of Olden Board, I'd be very interested to see whether or not they have a chance to reclaim that contender spot, whether or not they have a chance, and what they need to do in order to get back there. Could you enlighten us on that for a little bit?
I think they've got to be more consistent, and I think they need to have more of an identity, because, yeah, they've won their really nice close games 3-2, but in the games where they've lost, they've looked a little lost at points. Other times they look good, like a Control versus Sheer Cold, which is not an easy matchup for them. They lost that series 3-1, but on Control versus Sheer Cold, they played a lot faster and looked great. At other times, they were playing slow and kind of sloppy, and it just wasn't them. I want them to play faster, and I think Olden Board, if they win this series, they put themselves within a great chance getting back to Contenders.
Well, we will certainly and definitely see. I am not entirely sure whether or not we are ready to jump in just about yet. So I'm looking at the feed from the production side. What's going on over here? Doesn't really matter. On the side of the second game, we have Sheer Cold versus Fifth Dimension. We know Sheer Cold, what they can do. We know they are strong enough to play with the highest echelon of players right there. Fifth Dimension, however, while not having their while not having the same kind of name pedigree as Sheer Cold do, they are having a good series. Tell us about that a little bit, Ocean.
So, Fourth Dimension have been pretty good. I mean, they haven't got the wins across the board. They're 0-3 so far, but a close couple 3-2 series, and honestly, they've looked better than they've shown it. Results-wise, I think they are a team of high potential. I don't think they'll qualify for Contenders this time around, but they just won Open Division. I'm sure they'll come back.
Right, that's absolutely right, and we are looking at the map set. Up first is, of course, a control map, and it is, of course, Ilios. And Ilios is one of those maps that really separates the men from the boys. Why is that so? Unlike any other control maps, each and every one of those simple map differentials is such a different animal in and of itself that you can really just see whether or not these teams, while it is still a control maps, are versatile enough to get their material rolling. Now, Olden Board versus Disaster, what's your prediction on Ilios and why?
Well, I think Disaster, this is their best chance at showing what they've got. I feel like Momentum is a bright spark for this team, as I said previously. And this is a map where traditionally, if you can set the pace, you'll look a little bit better. And of course, Lucy on this map, you have the potential to make a couple of really nice plays. And with Rush coming back, if Disaster set the pace here, they can actually look pretty good. But I think Golden Board are the better team, and I think it's comfortably the better team, so I'll go with Golden Board.
All right, that absolutely makes sense. Olden Board, of course, also have a little bit more, well, you know, it's in the name. They have a little bit more experience, but we do know Disaster with the back against the wall. They need to win this. They need to, otherwise they're out of this trials right now, Ocean. And Disaster can make a lot of points here if they are ready to immediately show up, immediately go hard, head to head, and make sure that that control map is theirs, because that will put them in a very, very good spot. Now, we are starting on the lighthouse bit right here, and there's some intricacies on making sure that you can get into that closed space before your opponent does. How would you go about that?
Well, this is already very telling of how these two teams are playing. Disaster are playing something more more of a poke variant, where, you know, you're going to see Henning and Colgate probably play the Wrecking Ball Tracer and look to make engagements, and then the rest of the team waiting for their opportunity, just poking and prodding, and then going when the opportunity is right. Whereas Olden Board, they just want to go straight at it. They're going for a brawl composition here, but I imagine it might become a rush because of how fast they might want to play against the poke composition of Disaster.
Already moving up to high ground, Olden Board moving in, and you see that there is an immediate crossfire. Both of these teams want to go up to the high ground. They're chickening themselves out to see who goes down first and goes on towards the point first. Henning already making big strides, going towards that lighthouse in the ball. Of course, that wrecking ball, he can move wherever he wants to without the team and get away in time. That's a good move. Up there onto Timo at Gibson. Already needs to use the ice block. Kage and Monk very low as Freyo looks up on that high ground, trying to make sure that Olden Board get a little bit of fire from the start. Pure Irish with the first kill onto Monk, and Olden Board in a very good position here. Do get to put a lot of pressure onto Disaster as they have to pull back, and the point clearly on the side of Olden Board here.
Yeah, it looked really good for Disaster. They had all their players in good spaces, and then suddenly something went wrong. Pure Irish made the rotation to the point. Henning got caught out a little bit, and Disaster just fell apart from there.
Right, now moving, Timo had to pull back after being boosted up. That was absolutely beautifully played. Trying to get that Reinhardt into the face of your opponent over there can really shut down any play that Disaster had in the original planning. As Caffey moves in from the side, we go in for the sneak. Already has Henning in there and is not fully under pressure just yet. That flank move absolutely working out for them. The point still very clearly on the side of Olden Board as Gibson is looking to shut down Henning before they can actually get the full speed up here. Now another shot up by Sir Gibson, has to ice block out of the setup as he's being poked from behind by Kage. Finally goes down, and Disaster, now this is the first time they can actually set their momentum in, and I don't just mean that Brigitte.
Yeah, this team fight's basically done. Colgate and Henning finally find the moment to go in. They take down Pure Irish, just a couple more members on the point, and this team fight is done. Flip for Disaster.
Now moving back up, Henning has some naughty plans up there. Now it does fall down off that little perch. This time Disaster has the point ready and now needs to try and defend that versus a very frontline aggression team that Olden Board are bringing in. They're immediately going back into the setup. There you go, the Blizzard is coming out. Bob to try and stop it is immediately stopped by that wall. Sorry about that. As Timo takes down Henning with a nice fire strike here. There's a Diva Bomb coming in, does not find any targets, and we do see that Olden Board, while they did lose that point, have no issues of getting it back, because Disaster isn't made for this frontal assault to go toe-to-toe with these setups. They're trying to go around their opponents, and they're absolutely not in any position to do so. Olden Board, very strong, very aggressive here, Ocean.
Yeah, they have been. Now Disaster finally have to go towards the point because it's overtime.
Now moving, Sir Gibson has a set up onto Henning here. For your Irish clears it out, and you do see the overtime week may be running, but it's Disaster just clutching at the edges of their life, trying to prolong this for a long time. There is Freyu with the ultimate coming in, but immediately has to pull back. There is no way you can get enough bodies onto that point here.
Yeah, Disaster really struggled, even in the team fights where they theoretically should have an advantage. When they had control of the point, when they finally got that flip, I thought that could have been the turning point for Disaster, because it's really hard to walk into that poke composition when you're facing down an Ashe, a Zenyatta, and that Zenyatta is going to have really free angles because that Brigitte is getting them around the map. That should have been a lot easier for Disaster, but Olden Board, fair play to them. They were quick, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, they forced the Brawl on point, and Disaster were not prepared for that.
That's absolutely right. Now, on this second point, Disaster want to go toe-to-toe. You already see that. Henning and Shu, they are ready to bring in a little bit of a more beefy front line. Kage and Monk also ready to just go and play that clash basically that you expect here. But that's because of this point. This point is very open. This point has lots of access points, and the only way you can get through that usually is by playing this death ball, and that's exactly what they're going to go. The fight already started as Caffey is looking for their first target, is being blocked by a little bit of a wall, but right now preventing damage for your team is a lot better. Teemo though goes down. Olden Board in trouble with that, their main tank.
Yeah, actually, Olden Board didn't use the Symmetra teleporter to get to the point first and take control of that Mega Health Pack on the left. Disaster did, they got there first, they want to play faster with that Doomfist instead of the Mei, and they did exactly that. Really well played from Disaster.
Really well played. Now Kage looking to capitalize on that. That was a good start as Teemo goes down yet again. Kage cannot go back up on top. Pure Irish is booping, seeing the boop and executing it beautifully. You do see Freyu already loses that lamp, and that means that Disaster is potentially vulnerable. However, Olden Board cannot capitalize on this because they lost their tank yet again.
Look at Cafe and Shed taking this off angle on the left. It's well dealt with, but I like the fact they're willing to take off angles.
Kage, lots of shields coming in there, of course, with Snappy's ultimate protecting them. Disaster looking good right now, and it looks like Disaster have found their map side, have found their stride, and this time they will not give it up that easily.
Yeah, it's so hard when an opposing team has control of an area that you really want, particularly on a point like Ruins. That Mega Health Pack along the coast side is so important to this map. And now also you're walking into a Deadeye and Earth Shatter, where your ultimate, your Blizzard, needs to be used as more defensive type of ultimate.
There we go, window of opportunity coming out as Snappy fires in the amplification matrix, and the move is going on. Olden Board really do want it. There it is, the high noon, Diva Bomb coming up over the top of that wall, finds Monk. Beautifully set up here, that play. Could have actually been a lot more devastating. Caffey finds momentum on the side. There's another Diva Bomb flying over as Teemo finally takes some revenge onto Henning with a double kill onto Freyu. And now Olden Board, they are done playing around. They want this point, they want it bad, and they want it back. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
That was a really good team fight from Olden Board. That was never going to be easy. Nice self-destruct. They take out Monk, but I was really impressed by the way they took the team fight with Blizzard. They did not use it as an engagement tool. Teams who do that usually just waste their Blizzard. They use the amplification matrix to get in, waited for the right moment when Disaster was going to walk onto them, and that's when the Blizzard came in and cleaned up that fight. Next fight, Disaster though have the amp matrix themselves to get some extra space for them at the start of this fight.
You do see Olden Board, they were ready to go in with a frontline assault, but at the end of the day, they all pull back. Coordinated backdrop right there. There it is, another high noon. Caffey coming in from the side, had a good sideline for a second, maybe fired that off a tad too early, but it forced Disaster back, and that is exactly what Olden Board need right now. They need time, and they're desperately trying to make sure that they get that. Now, we're riding with Snappy through that amplification matrix, jumps up, tries to get a couple of pot shots in as the rest of Olden Board get into position. Teemo is in trouble, but the lamp is there to save them. Same thing goes for Pure Irish here, but the lamp already down as Kage finds them. Teemo tries it with the slam, doesn't find a lot of value with it as Kage is downed by Caffey. Another Diva Bomb coming up, doesn't find a lot of targets. Olden Board though have the body advantage. They clean up, and now we are in absolute last fight territory here as Olden Board need to hold this out for 1.5 more team fights, Ocean.
Yeah, they're doing really well with stopping Disaster, because Disaster want to play faster because they've got the Doomfist, and they're using all of their ultimates defensively. Every single time Disaster wants to walk forwards, defensive out matrix, defensive Deadeye. It's going to be difficult because that Deadeye and Blizzard is going to be on again. How are Disaster going to contend with these DPS ults?
Now Caffey once more, the high noon coming in, trying to force back the entirety of Disaster. They're just playing the zone game right now, and they're doing that in a very coordinated manner. We're riding with Snappy yet again. This time around has the amplification matrix and fires it in. Now they do want to keep Disaster away from the point. Oldenboard here. Snappy is in trouble, and that is beautiful. You do see that collapse immediately. Disaster saw an opening, couldn't resist, didn't have to resist a lot. Pure Irish trying to ride out that timer there, but the overtime wait now moving down, and that should be the equalizer right here. Oldenboard and Disaster both showing what they're up to, and we are in for the first threer.
I'm gonna put my critic hat on here, and I'm gonna say Oldenboard choked. I'm gonna say that they had the perfect ultimates to stop Disaster getting into the fight. They got a little bit hasty there, wanting to use that Blizzard extremely early. Typically, you want to use Blizzard as soon as your opposing team walks into you, and you know Disaster are going to walk into you because they have to, because they're running the Doomface composition. They also tried to get a bit greedy with the Deadeye, and it just didn't quite work out.
Well, that Deadeye, like I said, it was launched just a tiny bit too soon here on the side. They could have used that to zone it out, just like their opponent did in a very good manner. At the end of the day, though, Disaster was able to just crack the code, get it back with 4% still on the clock, at a 99% attack. They played that with a bit of luck, but with a lot of discipline right there. Now, Oldenboard, once again, forgoing all discipline, moving into the side pagodas. They want to get an early advantage onto Wells. The Gibson already lifted themselves and the rest of the team up and over. They're trying to contest that high ground. Disaster now in a pincer move. Now coming in from the side, though, is Henning. Very low already on that monkey. Cafe has to make sure, though, that he doesn't get picked out by Kage. Oldenboard on the board right now as they take the point for the first setup. Monk, though, takes Pure Irish, and this could immediately flip if Oldenboard play this in any way less disciplined than they should. Monk with another kill here.
Yeah, this is a little bit messy. They let Henning build up that primal rage, and they are going ham right now. This fight's just about to finish up, and the flip will go over to Disaster.
Nice boob onto Snappy. Disaster take it over, and that lead could have been a lot more comfortable for Oldenboard. Disaster will equalize or even surpass this before Oldenboard can touch the point yet again. Now, what can Oldenboard do? You see, Disaster is going very aggressive with the Henning shoe bubble combination here, and a lot of medium range DPS setup. How would you counter this?
They just gotta go faster, otherwise Henning builds up the primal rage. Brawl builds up the nano boost. They gotta go faster.
They do. Oldenboard moving in again. Team already half HP, though, as Shu has a lot of energy and just beams it in. Henning in trouble. Puts it in. There's the Blizzard coming in from Suggestion Gibson on that side. And now Disaster need to respond. That they do. Monk and Kage both find their targets right now. Disaster wants to remain in control, and they're doing it against the odds, as you saw a lot of ultimate invested here by Oldenboard into this attack. But Disaster hanging on. Momentum with a triple kill. And that is how you stop momentum with momentum.
Momentum is so good at mid support. Single-handedly the reason they kept that team fight alive, because when Oldenboard went for that initial engagement, they were just harassing Teemo with whip shots. They bashed their Gibson when they went for the Blizzard, didn't get cancelled, but that momentum was stopped well by momentum. Next team fight, Disaster have a Graviton Surge, and that could just end this right here, right now.
That's right, Shu just needs to find that right position. There's the sticky bump from Kage, doesn't really find a lot of value. Henning has that primal rage, jumps straight out of the pit, but was very low and gets killed out. Now the old storm is beginning. Diva Bomb coming in from this side, does not find Shu. Shu had to drop that Graviton Surge into the pagode, and right now I would say that could have been going better for them on Disaster's side. Oldenboard now in control of the point, don't you?
Yeah, it could have been saved better, but I understand why they went for the kill. Now Disaster relying on that nano boost.
The Gibson now on the Sombra. That's a very good setup if you want to keep Henningsen away from jumping in and out of your backline. Teemo goes down at the end, though, as Kage comes in from this side. Henning goes down as well. So once again, that main tank goes down for Disaster. and that should mean that Oldenburg have a lot of time. And Starboy, that's a double boop in a place that you do not want it to happen. Disaster, though, still in control of the point. It is 1 versus 3 up on there. Disaster holding on to their life as Henning comes back in onto it. Disaster now ready to hold on the line. They are going full Spartan 300s on this as Sir Gibson is looking for an opening here. He goes after Henning. Henning goes down with the help of Timo. Pure Irish in trouble, needs to pull back for a second. But Disaster, they are hanging on still. No, Oldenburg flipped it in the meantime, and I am stupid enough.
Yeah, but it took too long. They took too long, Disasters, to back out of that fight, or even win that fight. So Gibson was able to build the EMP. They built it up right there, although used a little bit early. So Disaster still have a team fight to come back into this. They'll have the Nano Boost as well as a Primal Rage and a Rally. So they've got some tools for this last fight.
Now moving up, 84% to go. And Oldenburg, they should still have that choke in the back of their mind because they were here before. Disaster took this back on the other side. Now Henning, though, has that nano boost, tries to move on in. Shu on that side takes up after Timo. After Timo took down Freyu in the side room. Now it is very hard to get back in there for Disaster because you see all the advantage and all the access points were set up by Oldenburg, and they just use that positioning to their advantage. Take the first map here.
Yeah, that was a lot better of a last fight for Oldenburg. They didn't let that choke in the previous round on runes get into their brains, get into their mentals. And honestly, Disaster, they could have played that last fight a little bit better, but that was really well played from Oldenburg. Much improved.
Right, wait a second. I do seem to have a little bit of a sound issue on my side, so while we are waiting for the second map, Ocean, please explain to us what Disaster has in strength and what they need to do in order to conquer Oldenburg, because they have all the tools. They just need to use them.
I think they just gotta play as many compositions where momentum gets to control the pace. So get momentum on Brigitte and Lucio, keep them on Brigitte and Lucio, and don't play that poke variant, play double bubble. So that momentum gets the opportunity to either annoy the opponent's team's main tank in Timo, we saw Timo dying a lot early, or get to just speed in with Lucio and show their class, because they're really good at setting the tempo, and that's when Disaster had the advantages.
You are absolutely right. Now, maybe we already know what the second map or the second map type is going to be. Do you know what the map pool is, and can you enlighten us to the choices that these teams have right now?
Well, Disaster can pick any map in the game right now. They can even pick a second control map. The problem is, if Disaster pick control, we cannot go to control again. Control can be played twice in the first 5 maps. They can pick any map they want right now.
They can pick any map that they want right now, right? The old map pools are no longer a thing, or the old map type pools are no longer a thing, right? So that means they can pick whatever, but what would they need? What would they need to do in order to utilize the position that they have, which is 1 point down, to their absolute advantage? Do we know what their favorite map type is? Do we know what they could do in order to get themselves out of this hole? Because again, for Disaster, this is about everything.
They like the Brawl with the Doomfist instead of the Main, so King's Row would be a valid option. But what I liked more, I actually thought their double bubble was very good until the last team fight of Ilios well. So they could go for a matchup where they can play double bubble and their opponents could play Brawl, because they look pretty good on that until the last team fight. So maybe something like Hollywood is also an answer. I think going to hybrid either King's Row if they want to play the Doomfist Brawl themselves, or well, if they want to play double bubble versus Brawl, Hollywood is also an answer.
You are absolutely right. Now, in terms of what went wrong the last game, right? Disaster looked like they had this. Looked like they were working on this. Looked like they were able to dig themselves out of the predicament that they got them into in the first round. Because Lighthouse, it looked like you expected, right? It looked like Disaster were hesitant. They had Oldenburg in front of them and were like, yeah, okay, we know what's going on. This is it. But then that second round came along. And you do see that as soon as Disaster flipped over and used a more face-to-face composition, that was exactly what you wanted to have, correct?
Yeah, I think they just need to play with a little bit more confidence. You know, when they know what their win condition is and they know what their benefits are over the other composition, they look great. But when we kind of get to those last team fights, apart from that Ruins, obviously exclusively, they played really well in the last team fight on Ilios Ruins. I feel like if they could get their win conditions right and play with more confidence, I think Disaster then have a chance to at least squeak a map or two.
Right, we are going into a quick little break while I try to fix these audio issues on my end. So sorry, and we will be back in just a minute. Stay with us, don't go anywhere. Hello, and we are welcome back, and this time my tones should be dulcet, very soothing to your ear canal. This is Evening Radio with the Olomancer, and with Ocean, welcome to the... I am looking forward to what we're about to see, because Oldenboard and Disaster, they are going at it. Junkertown. I love Junkertown personally, Ocean. Tell me, what do you think about that? Good choice for them?
It's going to bring something into this series we haven't seen yet. I think it's going to be interesting because this tells me it's going to be more of that poke composition they ran on Light Choice. So like Brigitte Zen, Bold Diva, or they can run something like Double Shield, Double Sniper. this is just going to be some sort of poke war, and I think obviously Disaster picked it, so they might be comfortable in that. Are they going to be good at it? I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out.
Who knows? We will we will find out. Junkertown is typically a map that is, once again, I said that before, but Junkertown is a map that is super versatile. Junkertown, every third of this map, I like to, of course, you know, with the capture point, you could just slash it into thirds, and every third of this is fundamentally a different map. The first map, very open spaces, little corners, just one or two flank roads, and you have all the sight lines in the world. So what you want to do is as a long range engage as you possibly can. The second map, that's where your McCree lives, right? That's where your Echo lives. You still have a little bit of a skybox. You have enough nooks and crannies to just move it over, and you just got this. You just got this opportunity to flank, to move in from the side, and then on the third part, you go ham. You just need to go short range. You need to put the pressure on, keep that pressure on, and then make sure that you win every single engagement. That's why Junkertown is relatively hard to capture on that third point. That means Disaster.
It's all about making the adjustments at the correct time, right? And not even just compositional adjustments, just player adjustments. Like, okay, this player needs to take this sort of flank route to set up this sort of space on point B. Those sort of adjustments on Junkertown are what make this map so good. It looks like we are going to see Poke versus Poke on point A. Widowmaker, Hanzo, so double sniper as well. Different support comps. I want to talk about that a lot. So, Froyu is the player to highlight. Momentum is the player to get Froyu into those spaces. Shud can help out with that as well, but the more Shud does that, the less space their DPS has. So Momentum, key player to watch out for yet again. The highlight player for Disaster to get Froyu into those spaces.
Now moving up, we see Bomberman already in the set, has that Widowmaker up. Monk, though, gets the first kill. Widowmaker versus Widowmaker here on point number one. The rest coming up from Starboy as Caffey gets back up. You do see the long range, especially on Oldenboard, is absolutely alive. Interesting is Kage. Kage will try and put a lot of pressure onto these snipers, specifically on Bomberman, if they can actually find him. Now Disaster coming in from their side. They do want to keep that momentum up. However, being pressed into that corner with all of them will make that quite hard, Ocean.
Yeah, Widowmaker dual point 2 and 4. One thing I'm concerned for all the board is their Arisa Teemo is moving around a lot and could get cut off.
Now moving it up, Kage once again on the side. Henning already scored that double kill, so Disaster in a very good move to just keep the momentum up. Teemo going down, and that is an Orisa that will not stop you any longer. And I love this ball. Henning taking Disaster and just parking them on point A capture at this point.
Really good setup, and then a really good proactive engagement onto the backline makes the Widowmaker duel easy. They didn't even need the Widowmaker in that duel. Just a one-player show from Henning.
Moving in. Monk looking to keep that window cleaned here, and does seem Pure Irish is not able to actually fire them out, because everyone knows if you try to peek a Widow at this level, you need to be brave, or you need to have a barrier. So Pure Irish, just about the only person capable of doing that. Moving up, moving onto that high ground now is Disaster, as Kage slowly moves up the moves up the payload on the side. Monk looks for another shot here. Teemo goes down to Freyu, and Freyu, I've been loving the positioning we can see from them for what we've seen so far. Now heading once again in a fight, this time versus Pure Irish. Momentum is there for the assist, and that's it as Old and Board get pushed back yet again. Freyu finds Snappy, Henning with another kill. Payload still moving, and we are going around this first corner here, Ocean.
Yeah, Kappa just trying to get a little bit of time off the clock. Disaster have been getting Froyu into some great spaces, and that's what's opening up Kage, Henning, the rest of the squad to get the damage done. Also, another point, Teemo looks so uncomfortable. Was moving around a lot on Arisa and unable to find where they really wanted to position themselves, and on that Winter was taken down instantly by Froyu. So Teemo not having a good time on this map, needs to think of something to get onto this backline.
Now Monk is in trouble. You see already the jump coming in from Teemo. Teemo on the monkey is done with all the snipers in his backyard. Good set up here as Cappy finds momentum earlier. That was a good ultimate, but is not able to capitalize on that shoe as Starboy comes in with the chain. Now Oldenboard, they're back in their element. This is the mid-range assault kind of portion of this map, and that does mean that Oldenboard have an advantage here.
That was like the opposite of the commentators' curse. We kind of the commentators blessing Teemo. Struggling a bit on the start of point B, and now comes back, has a good team fight. And Oldenboard will have a nano boost to give Teemo to build up that primal rage and also get some early work done.
No, Teemo goes very hard, very deep in, but does have that primal range, uses it, goes in for the double kill. Cappy is there to jump onto Monk, and they want to push it all out. Oldenboard are just setting Disaster up for just that.
Right, okay, though, this is difficult for Disaster. Do you switch off the composition? I mean, you've already made the adjustments in the pre, which I like, but can you get Fryu into spaces where the Zenyatta is going to get value? I don't know. The question has to be asked to Shut and Momentum. Can they get their Zenyatta into the fight? They have a Transcendence if they really want to use that for better Discord angles in the mid fight.
Caffey knows that Kage is there, wants to contest, but right now we're looking at Snappy and Bombimon. Bombimon had to swap off that Widow a while ago, now is on that McCree, has the dead eye ready, of course, but in the back line of Oldenboard is still Henning, and he is still on the Reign of Terror. Now though, Pure Irish comes in and means business, takes Monk down, and is ready to push the rest of Disaster back yet again. Pure Irish, known for those explosive plays, and that's exactly what they're getting on their side of Oldenboard when you get Pure Irish enough charge.
Henning's in the back line. I think they know they're there and they're going to be able to punish him now. I think Henning's going to be able to get out for free. And that's a nice post bomb in the back. Will get momentum. Both Brigida's dying.
Yeah, Bombi-Man finds Shu immediately afterwards, so now you're missing a lot of shielding on that side. That's beautiful. Oldenboard are able to now control the pace again, and you do see that they know how to deal with that. 1 minute and 25 on the clock here, Ocean.
Yeah, Nano Boost again for Teemo. Wonder if they're just going to go straight in for this again. Nano Boost on the Teemo. They'll build up Primal as well. Could be a really simple and fast engagement from off the defense.
Cappy versus Kage yet again, but Teemo is already there and finds more than they bargained for. Momentum is down, so is Freyu. No more support on the side of Momentum, and Teemo has free reign as he reigns as king of the jungle here. Finds Shu and Monk on the sideline as well. 4 kills for the big monkey, and it's okay dying there at the end of it all.
Yeah, 4 kills, 3-1, and that's at the end of the fight where you will have time to come and reset. You take that any day of the week. Well, let's highlight the McCrees, right? They both have the Deadeyes in this next type of Bomberman. It's going to have the easier setup, having being on the defense, whereas Monk has to have their team set them up to get the right space and the right angle at the right time.
That's right, now the minefield is coming out. Henning trying to make some space for the rest of Disaster as they move in. The minefield, though, is not really working as most of Oldenboard are standing in those separate alcoves. They are a little bit split around the map, but that could work to their advantage. Now both of the high noons are being fired in. Monk draws it out, doesn't feel a lot of targets as Kage comes in with the bomb onto Snappy. Oldenboard missing their main support here as Freyu fires in the Transcendence. Pure Irish up on that point. Starboy coming in with the Brigitte ultimate, and there it is. There is the Gravital Touch for Pure Irish. Right now, this is about everything. Disaster in trouble. Disaster losing people left and right. It's Shu, it's Kage, and they need to try and keep this alive as Shu gets Starboy. Kage goes down, and this should be over. All intents and purposes, not completing part 2, and that is exactly what I mean. Play to your strengths on this one. Round 1 is complete. We're going for the flip.
I wonder if Disaster got a little bit greedy there. They played point A so beautifully, so patient. Fryu was getting into all of the spaces, and you have to credit Momentum for that. Don't credit Momentum for, yeah, Shining Light, brilliant. Wasn't a Shining Light on point B, though. The support line was unable to get into the fight, which meant that the DPS were unable to get angles. It meant the tanks weren't able to play as aggressive. It just was not good from Disaster on point B. Minimal adaptations, and honestly, I don't think they really wanted to do anything. It wasn't that they couldn't do anything, they didn't try to make anything happen. And that's not what you can be doing or risking to be doing when realistically you lose this map, you go down 2-0, then you lose one more map, you are out of trials. Well,
it is not looking good for Disaster right now. But the defensive side, of course, if they are able to stop Old and Board in time, which I do believe they can do, but they need to be playing a little bit more coordinated than they were on the attacking side. A little less brute force and a little bit more sneaky, if you so will. In order to make that happen, instrumental in that. Once again, you do see, even on the defensive side, Henning is on the ball, Shu is on the Sigma. Will that be enough to stop the momentum of Old and Board as they come out of this gate?
Well, they got to catch them mid-rotation because the Old and Board are running this double shield, and if they want any sort of space, they've got to walk forwards, right? So catching them on that rotation as they walk forwards is going to be Henning's job.
Henning waiting, biding his time here. Moving slowly side to side, seeing what's going to happen. Maybe relaying some information. Now he comes over, goes for Cafe. Cafe needs to be getting away from that flank, but is absolutely pocketed here. Starboy does not leave the Hanzo alone. The payload, it has been stopped for now as Olden Board reposition, and he coming in from the side. There's the smash, and now that should be the collapse. Shu finds Bombing Man on the side, and now Disaster. They should be ready for the cleanup. All the sides are looking at Shu. That's a quadra kill, and the Dutchman is just flying about. Beautifully played here on the back of Henning's engage.
Perfect timing on the engagement from Henning. All the board, I think they've got to get off this double shield. It's just too slow for them to rotate. The Tracer will help. I just don't think it's the move. Disaster looked really comfortable in the double shield versus Bull Sig matchup on point A in their offense, and they look really comfortable here. 1 minute and 20 already off the clock.
1 minute and 20 is off the clock, but remember, you can only surprise a team like Olden Boar once. So we will see how Disaster handle this. Now, trying to clear that high ground. Once again, Henning drops that minefield. Another pile driver gets Pure Irish out of commission. And another collapse coming in from Disaster. This is beautifully played. Henning, I know I kind of doubted you there for a second. Forgive me. You are the hamster. You are the hamster. Fantastically played.
Yeah, and what's going to be really interesting now is they've got the oversight on the defense here. Is Bombing Man looks sort of like, so they're going to be able to find Bombing Man anyway, but also it means they know when the engagement is coming out from on the board. But that kill on the Kage will help.
That is absolutely right. Bombing Man, Olden Board, as they are deep in enemy territory. They're just rambling it about. Henning has put it on his playlist to get Bombing Man out. Kage coming in for the assist. Bombing Man should not survive that. Doesn't survive that, but it is Shu still holding that front line together with Freyu as they try to keep that payload from touching, and that is exactly what they're doing. 1 minute 35 on the clock. Point A still on the contestation here. Ocean?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Now, Kage has the pulse bomb. They're going to try and catch the mid-rotation again. It's all about getting Olden Board on the rotation, because if they get into the fight, they'll have a supercharger and their gravitic clutch to clean it up and try and get point A. Although, if they get caught out, they're in a lot of trouble. 1 minute 12 seconds on the clock.
Now, Monk looking for more targets, needs to get past that shield. Pure Irish fires it in, goes in with the gravitant surge here. Graphitic flux. You keep, come on, Blizzard, give me separate names for these things. Anyway, and is at least able to get Shu out, but Shu takes someone with him. Henning once again jumps in from the side. This time they'll get stunned out as Cafe of Pure Irish clear this out. This should be enough for Olden Board as they capture point A. 1 minute, less than 1 minute, 40 seconds on the clock actually.
Yeah, this is super important for Olden Board. Just think about the stakes here. If they win this game, they will be 3-2. And at most will need one more win to get into Contenders, or even with that 3-3 record, if they go 3-3 and don't win another game, they could still get into Contenders. This match is so important for them, and this is going to be the critical moment in their Trials campaign. Can they make sure they get this win over Disaster, this win they're expected to get? This point play, 2 minutes 40, is not going to be easy. This is the moment we are going to look back at.
We will definitely see 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the timer. Old and Board, they're going the scenic route, going via below, and it does look like Disaster. They already know that Henning and Kage are the ones going back in on the attack. Timo once again under a lot of pressure, jumps back to the rest of the team. Henning almost booped the entire team that just did not have enough momentum to execute. You do see Disaster, they get pushed back further and further as Monk goes down. Timo finds them yet again. Now needs to go back to the team though in order to make the rest of the room that they need. Henning goes down. That is a problem for Disaster because without Henning, you don't have the boop, you don't have that room.
Yeah, and they're just going to walk in here. This might just be done right here, right now. That Flux isn't going to get anything, and that Sigma's going to go down there.
Timo jumps back in as that double kill finally gets found there by Disaster. And Monk, yeah. Monk gets Timo, needs to go back in there, but has no room to move. Bombi-Man has all the space in the world because the rest of Oldenburg made a lot of real estate. Oldenburg take this map.
And it was worrying for Oldenburg. At one point on point A, you thought they were in trouble, right? If they didn't get those tanks into the fight in that last fight on point A, we'd be talking about a 1-1 series. Disaster trying to get themselves back into contention of getting that contender spot and not getting relegated. On Oldenburg, we could talk about them being in trouble. But now, 2-0, they've got a bit of a cushion. One more map, we could be talking about Oldenburg and contenders yet again.
We could, and it is looking good for them right now. Something else looking good. My water bottle right now. So we are going to jump it into a small break before we go into map number 3. Thank you for sticking with us so far, and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We are live, we are back, and we are still in the Overwatch Contenders Trials. I'm still the on answer. With me is, of course, still Ocean, because that's why you are all here, for that beautiful, beautiful piece of humanity. Now, we have seen Oldenburg going up for two maps against Disaster, who have been fighting their buttocks off. I have to say that. Absolutely clear, but to no avail so far. Oldenburg look very comfortable in their role, look very comfortable with that lead. And now we're moving into Numbani, Ocean. I know you said your credit card is probably overdrawn from all the bets that we've done so far. What do you think, Numbani? How is this going to play out?
I mean, I expect double bubble probably for both teams. I thought the team looked really strong with the Winston on point B, Juggerton on their defense, and I thought that Disaster were quite comfortable on the double bubble, apart from that last team fight, of course, on well. So I think it might just be a double bubble versus double bubble matchup, of course, though. I haven't got it right today, to be honest, apart from Oldenburg winning, so we'll see.
No, that's absolutely right. Now, Numbani is a map with a lot of high ground, so yeah, the double bubble will most likely be instrumental. Looking at how both teams have performed on that composition so far, a little bit more for Oldenburg than it was for Disaster, obviously. Who is, in your opinion, the better tank front line overall?
Oldenburg. I think Oldenburg just have a little bit more synergy. I think if you're like talking just individual players, I think Shaw will be a little bit better than Pure Irish, and I honestly think Henning is just a little bit better than Timo. But how they work together and how they work with their team, I think Oldenburg just edges it.
Yeah, again, I said that in the at the start. Oldenburg, of course, in that team composition that they have right now, had a lot more time to build that synergy. Had a lot more time to, you know, set up the way that they want to play, because they've been doing it for a while together. Disaster, while they are all quote-unquote old names in this composition, not entirely fully set up. So that may be one of the aspects why Disaster are having that namesake kind of season right now, because while they all know what they're doing, they don't know what they're doing together just yet, maybe.
Yeah, but I think like a lot of the players in Disaster, you know, players with high potential. They haven't been making that many mistakes. It's just the execution of certain plays, or even, you know, going for certain plays. I thought they were a little bit lazy on point B, Junkertown. They didn't really want to create anything. I feel like you get an awkward sense that they've given up on making contenders, but they're still here to play and prove themselves.
Well, let us all get down on our knees, pray and bless the rains done in Africa as we move in to Numbani. So Numbani, like I already said, Numbani is a high ground map, Numbani is a momentum map, and Numbani doesn't stop until that last little corner usually. And getting past that last little corner with the double bubble composition means that you need to be in the face of your opponent. Oldenburg are very good at that. Disaster. They try to go around their opponents most of the time. Is that a strategy that will work for them?
It might on point A. Point A is going to be the point where there's a couple of different angles around. You know, there are a lot more high grounds to play around and a lot more angles you could take. So it might favour them on point A, similar to how Junkertown point A might have favoured them. But I think once you get to point B and point C, Oldenburg should be favoured quite positively. One thing that is interesting on the bombing is that point B isn't really a factor, really. Like, you are expected, if you capture point A, to capture point B. I think, like, a crazy statistic was in the Overwatch League Season 1, there was 2 goals on the bombing point B, and that was, like, each team playing 40 series, right? So that's kind of crazy. I think the bombing point B is not really a factor, and I think that'll help Disaster, considering they got held on point B on Junkertown. Just a little thing, a little glimmer of hope for Disaster.
We'll see how it moves out. Now, Old and Board, they take their defensive set up here on the high grounds. Pure Irish and Snappy. Snappy in a very forward position as the Gibson now is on the Echo. And I love some good Echo play, especially on this map. This map was made for Echo. Or the other way around, we don't know. As Disaster come around and they move into position for their first attack. So Gibson tries it with a couple of those sticky mines. And that high ground attack here, just going through that hallway, pretty much standard, but I'm not sure if I like it.
I mean, they've managed to get through, they've managed to play the high ground, that's a good step at least, and also, going towards the high ground.
You already see Henning. He doesn't take prisoners. Jumps straight onto the opposite high ground. Monk finds Timo. No more Monkey on the side of Oldenburg. Now Disaster. They want to get this done right now. The first 2/3 already have been taken. That is the point A capture. We need to stop that payload. Well, actually move on that payload because Disaster want to get further. They want to maybe get some more out of this than just a simple slam.
Yeah, Oldenburg are just going to hold this first corner, which is probably the most difficult part of wanting point B. Team 1 seem to play a little bit more aggressive. They're close to that nano boost, so once they get that, they actually can play a little bit more aggressive and then build towards that final. So they're doing a long junker time. Winston.
Oh, there it is. The Nano Winston coming in. That is like a Furby on crack there as Kage comes in with the double kill onto Starboy and Snappy. That means that there is a lot of space. Sir Gibson, though, gets that copy in there, jumps off, tries to go back into flying mode, but that was the Abyss just a little too close for that echo. Nicely played, but Kage is on an absolute murder spree. There will be some newspaper cutouts of this man as Disaster moves on forward.
Yeah, Sir Gibson was the first one to just kind of reset and go up on that fight. They're going over to the Sombra. I imagine we're going to see some defensive hacks more than offensive hacks because, you know, obviously that last fight, Snappy and Starboy were the first taken out, so Sombra pick defensive hacks to help out that backline a little bit more. Speaking of the backline, Nano Boost online was so effective in the previous map, and here it comes again.
Oh, there's a high noon, but of course Timo is there! Still in the boop! That was still a double kill. Booped out and just put into the right position. Thank you, Timo, for just taxiing Monk exactly where he wanted to be. And Disaster do not wait for long to capitalize on that. Point B capture point is coming in very close. And this train is a choo-chooing through the plains of Africa right now, Ocean.
That is a 5-minute and 15-second time by going into Mbani point C. And they will have some ultimates to work with. Henning and Kage with their ultimates will be able to play a little bit more aggressively. Shove has that covered from third. Nice two-way condition.
Kage ready with that. Already saw that the Tobelstein was there. Just drops in that little bomb and makes sure that there is enough murder for Sherlock Holmes to investigate. Shu closes it off in the back line. Payload moving in towards that famous final corner. 4 minutes and 40 on the clock. And that is a long time to defend.
Yeah, and look, Disaster in more conditions right now. Nano Winston and a Primal Rage.
Primal Rage ready to go. Henning, though, very low now, has to actually pull it. Shu comes in from the side, takes Timo down. It's not looking good for Oldenburg. Numbani may just be exactly what Disaster needed. Henning goes in onto Pure Irish as Shu and Henning further clean it up. There is another high noon coming in from the side. Monk takes Timo, and that's all she wrote. 4 minutes 10 on the clock. Beautifully played here, and just 1-to-1 flying it in. End of story. Oldenburg have their work cut out for them on this one, Ocean.
Whoa. 4 minutes and 10 seconds on the clock. But that was a round for Disaster. And that, if you want any round to save your trial season, I'm pretty sure that attacking round is going to help. And actually, just a salty fact for Oldenburg. Oldenburg are the only team to have a time bank to concede a time bank above 4 minutes. This season. It's happened twice now. They conceded a time back of 4 minutes and 12 seconds to Fusion University of Gibraltar last week, and now 4 minutes and 10 seconds against Disaster this week.
I mean, yeah, with Fusion University, you do expect something like that, but you don't expect that after being 2 rounds up against Disaster. And Disaster just put on their train conductor's hat, fired up the steam engine, and just started firing on ever since they put their first foot onto that A payload. I was dismissive of their early attack, but they didn't stop attacking for that entire round.
Yeah, and also one more crippling fact for Oldenburg on that defense. It was a really poor defense. I mean, I'm really impressed from a Disaster. They got their win conditions right. They played aggressively. It was a lot better from them. But Starboy only got him to rally in that last fight, right? So that's one ultimate for a player in a round. Not really acceptable at this trials level. Oldenburg are going to try something a little bit different. They're running a Sigma now and the Reaper, so they're going to play a very weird style of ball. It might become a rush.
I do like this. This is double shield in your face kind of style. Timo and Pure Irish definitely better suited for this amount of playstyle or for this type of playstyle. Timo already going on, but Shu and Kage coming in from the side and immediately stopping some of that momentum, though that could backfire. Cafe on that Reaper knows what he's doing. At the end of the day, though, Disaster blocked that first attack here handily, and they do have a nice little bit of spawn walk, both of those teams. So we should just see a nice little new attack in the next one.
Yeah, Pure Irish going over to the Diva gives you a little bit more consistency, appealing against the Winston and going aggressive on the Ona. I like this pick a lot more for them. It was an okay attempt at the first lead.
So Gibson just rushing forward here, only to get stopped by Shu for a second. But Oldenburg move it in. Starboy and Cafe find their target, so is Gibson. And this is looking very good. Oldenburg no longer waiting around. They are not taking prisoners. They're moving it straight in. They want that A-cap, and they want to have an equal time, even maybe a better one than their counterpart. Though that is a tall order still.
Yeah, you know what? They needed to have a team fight like that, and also they need to play like that against the double bubble, because if they hesitate once, they're getting caught in rotation, and they're losing that team fight. And with the time bank Disaster have, you cannot afford to be losing team fights on this offense.
Oldenburg, they are ready to go and fight this out on the high ground. The payload moving at a snail's pace as Oldenburg are ready to just go for the fight of the balcony. This is Montagues versus Capulet at this point. They're trying to keep Disaster away from that immediate route, though Henning goes in, has that primal rage.
Ooh, nice hit.
Is not, yeah, good hit, absolutely good hit. We know that Kage sticky bombs can do that, so that was nicely done. Now we know of opportunity as the amplification matrix comes out. So Gibson just firing it through into that hallway. Payload now moving. Timo and Pure Irish ready to hold whatever is coming in. Henning though has a nano, jumped in, gets shattered, and there it is. Wow, immediately countered by a very good gravitic surge, and immediately countered again by Starboy's ultimate. That just saved a lot of people, I must say. Cafe in the back line with the die. The Death Blossom comes out. Oldenburg still has the momentum advantage, still has that payload, and still will get it moving.
The only thing that's really going to hurt them after that team fight is Cafe can't really walk up and take a little bit more space with the Reaper. Going to cut back on the trades to do that though, so nothing really lost. Are they going to come in for another team fight? Yeah, they are. They're going to send the Tracer Kage's on the way.
No, they're not. Actually, at the end of it all, they're not going to be in time. Oldenburg just take point 2, and now we will see the full defense. 453 versus 410 that is still on the clock. Is that possible? Yes. Likely? Not really. But we will see how it goes. We already see Henning once again has a primal rage, goes for it. Freyu with a kill on the mech there. Just beautifully set up. And Oldenburg, they take that momentum against them and just reverse it. It's just like Tai Chi with these guys.
Both of these teams don't really have a lot to work with. All the board, let's highlight the Deadeye. Can they find that space for Sir Gibson? Fryu has the nano boost to send on to Henning, and the Monk can maybe clean it up with the Bob. Watch Sir Gibson this fight.
Bob coming out this time from Monk's side. Henning finds Sir Gibson right now. So Oldenburg at least stopped for a little second. Cafe in the backline though tries to get momentum out of the sky. Was very close to it as well, and just goes for another approach. Though Disaster right now looking at least decent in the defense. Cafe though still in the back line. Disaster needs to make sure that doesn't happen. Monk finds Cafe. Problem solved. Oldenburg need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, that's a lot of time off the bank. An extra 10 or so seconds to get the setup to walk into this next fight. There's still the Deadeye, at least they didn't have to use that team fight with completion that could be that Deadeye, because, well, Sir Gibson was the first to die.
Monk has all the time and all the sight lines in the world. The rest of Disaster just take the high ground and wait to react. Now, whether or not it's a good idea to play this reactive versus Oldenburg is something to be seen. That was a good shatter though. But Pure Irish comes in, takes the double kill on the back of the window of opportunity here. Oldenburg do everything right at this point. and it is not looking very good for Disaster. I don't think they will be able to extend this timer for a longer time than Kage can stay alive. Kage goes down, of course, and that is that. Round 2 complete. We're going for another swap.
Yeah, both these teams still have at least 2-minute time marks, right? Because, of course, now in the modern days of Overwatch, if both teams capture over 2 minutes, the time banks get decreased to 2 minutes, and that means both teams will go again with slightly lesser time banks. It means that the games aren't as long as they previously were, particularly on assault maps. In this case, it is a hybrid map. Now, that was a lot better for Molten Board. I liked how sharp they looked. They were very quick in their engagements, didn't get caught off much. Although I also think Disaster, as you were saying near the end, where they were playing very reactively. There were certainly some opportunities for them to go in and catch them on that rotation. Surely, right? Golden Board are good, but they're not that good. There was obviously an opening. They weren't able to take it, and that became more of a proactive versus reactive situation, and the proactive ones were Golden Board.
The proactive ones were definitely all on board, and they're going to try and keep doing that. Now, Disaster has a little more room for error here right now, right? So what they could do right now is on that A side, don't play reactive, go proactive, go toe-to-toe. I don't know, spawn camp them for all I care. As long as you have more time in the bank at the end of this day than your opponent does, you've won this, and you made sure that you have a good chance of actually being able to win this.
Yeah, you're going to have to do that, especially here now, because Kathy is on the Soldier 76. A weird pick on the likes, and you want to stop Kathy to be able to take this high ground or take any sort of angle, so you've got to engage proactively on the defense.
Right, the dynamite is in the back line, is not able to detonate. Now detonates automatically. Henning jumps in with a double kill. Sir Gibson and Snappy going down. That was a nice 1-2 right there. Beautifully played. And you do see Disaster. They're waiting it out and then proactively go and fire it in. So that was a lot better and a lot more what you want them to do. 1 minute and 20 on the clock. 2 more attacks, roughly.
I mean, it might not be 2 more attacks, particularly with that kill on Sir Gibson. That's another 10 seconds off the clock. Plus, from the spawn for the attackers on point 10 and Bonnie to the point, it's a very long walk. So this might be last fight territory. And the last chance for Golden Board to really cement themselves as a threat. Really to go and get those contender spots. It's going to be difficult for them. But if there's a team who can do it, it might be Golden Board.
We will see now. Monk pulls back a bit, changes the angle, still has a damage boost on them, but also has the monkey on them. Teemo does not wait for long and wants to get some room here for the rest of their team as he goes after Freyu. Freyu is going down. Shu gets Teemo. Finally ends that reign of terror, but Henning on the other side falls down to pure Irish. So that may be a problem for Disaster. The rest is coming in. Kage versus Sir Gibson now moving on the sidelines while the rest of the fight is being just off the point, and it is being absolutely decided here by the fight from Disaster. Shu gets pure Irish out. 10 seconds remaining. All on board need to get a body onto point.
Even if they do, Momentum has a Valkyrie and Shah has a Graviton, so it's going to be so hard for them.
It is definitely going to go hard. The overtime wake is already running. Only 1/3 has been captured. Teemo tries it on the high ground, just jumps in there. Monk has Bob, fires it in as pure Irish tries to boot themselves up and over that point. Now goes onto that high ground. Pure Irish in trouble as the bomb is still there. There is the Diva bomb, firing it in. Doesn't find a lot of value. Monk and Henning clearly handling themselves. Nice shot from Monk onto Cafe here. And with Gibson going down, that's all she wrote. Round 3 complete. We're going for another flip. No Disaster. Have a little bit more time on the bank. But they also need to be able to surprise Olden Board again.
What is interesting to me now is Golden Board, realistically, that was a pretty poor attack from them. They really never got set up, but obviously we have to credit Disaster. Proactive, but not stupidly active defense, where they only were proactive when they needed to be and made sure that they were the engagers in each fight. And that's how you want to play a proactive style. That's great. The problem is actually give a takeaway near the end of that map. So this map does become winnable for Golden Board. It's not just drawable at this stage. The Disaster need to be wary of that this game isn't over yet. They still need to go with a more aggressive, more proactive mentality, but they cannot get silly with it because otherwise, when the boards start to build up their ultimates, they have the better defensive respawns. At 3 minutes 20 on the Bonnie could go away very quickly. So Disaster, it's not silly time here, it's go time. Let's make sure that they keep this series going.
We'll see what Disaster is going to do. They are going for the same kind of setup that they used earlier. No Lucio on that side, so they're not going for that speed. They want to make sure that they are nice and protected in the background, and that especially counts for Freyu. You want to keep Freyu alive because Freyu is a wizard on that Ana. Now, defend objective A as Disaster comes out of the gate. Let's see how they are going to try and approach this. Kage going in on the lower side, while the rest of the team looks like they want to go for the long run here, or maybe up the stairs. It's a bit hard to say for now. They're going up the stairs. Okay, Pure Irish ready. So is Starboy and Timo. And Shu immediately goes very hard, very deep. Doesn't wait for a long time, but has to pull back. Wait for the rest of the team here. All on board, though. They are ready. And now the fight is breaking out. Pure Irish has a clean shot onto that enemy backline, but gets that sleep. And now Henning is free, has a lot of hit points to catch up on, as Sir Gibson is the first death on the side of Olden Board. The pick is there. Disaster now need to keep that momentum up, and that's exactly what they're doing. Is Henning and Freyu. Both of them are being taken out. Shu and Freyu have free reign right now, and that means Disaster have free reign, and that is it. Ding ding goes to bell. Disaster take this map.
That was a lot better from Disaster, a lot more active, a lot more confident. And that's what we kind of want to see from Disaster, right? We want to see their individual players play with a lot more confidence, and that will eventually give the team a little bit more momentum and will make them a lot more comfortable in difficult scenarios. On board, though, we saw some signs of weakness. They gave up a lot of space on that high ground that maybe they shouldn't have. Freyu got the sleep dart there, which was critical and made it difficult for them, but they still gave a lot of space up. Disaster capitalized, and now we are in a 2-1 series.
We are in a 2-1 series of a first to 3. That means still on match point. Olden Board, Disaster, not as far away from the Abyss as they were just 20 minutes ago. So that's the good news for them. The bad news for them is, of course, Olden Board now gets to pick the map. And I haven't been keeping up with this series, to be perfectly honest. So I have no clue what one of their favorites would be. Do you have any idea, Roshan?
It's probably going to be an assault map. I think they are going to want to stay away from Volskaya Industries because they just lost on a map that is very much based around high ground. Volskaya Industries, similar-ish to Numbani, so they'll probably stay away from that. They did win a little bit of the poke war on Anubis, so maybe they could go there.
You seem to be absolutely right. Anubis, it is at the end of it all. They are ready to go and see who has the better Pharaoh. Now, Anubis, I love Anubis, personally. I know a lot of people don't like Assault. I like Anubis. I always say that. I always say that to Man of Class. It is where the man gets separated from the boys because it shows who can attack through impossible odds. Right?
Yeah.
Anubis point B is just that throw a lot of mud at the wall kind of map, and that's exactly my kind of thing, to be honest, because that is just where the clutch gets to be made. Now, that's bad news for Disaster. I'm going to say that right away. Why is that bad news for Disaster? Because their offensives, they are good, they are creative, they are full of momentum, they are full of aggression and full of good target choices. Their defenses are meek as a lamb. I'm sorry to say that, but the defenses crumble like a simple wafer in an ice cream cone, right? So it's just not really their strength, let's put it that way. Olden Board, a little bit more of a round team, maybe not as offensive as they are, as their counterparts are, but all in all, looking at both offensive and defensive side, Olden Board are more of the full package, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I also think they're just like the strongest team in a way. I think the perfect team fight to describe, you know, the weaknesses of Disaster defense was on like all the way back on Elios Lighthouse, where they had the poke composition and they had control of the point. On board just walked in and Disaster were just wondering where they were. Like they never got any poke with a poke composition where they were favored to have a nice team fight. So
yeah.
they do struggle in that defensive edge. And when on a map like Anubis, where especially on point A, if you make a mistake and your opponent's gonna pick, and you gave up that first choke, you could be in a little bit of trouble.
I want more from both teams. I want more flashy action. I want more fast plays. I want more one person taking out 5 people like Shu did on that Sigma. Because, you know, at the end of the day, yes, it's trials. Yes, for these teams, it's about who wins, and it doesn't matter how they win. But I haven't cast since December. I need something, you guys. Come on. Come on. All of you know me. I go crazy on these moments, so make me go crazy. Come on, just for once. I spent my day in paperwork and in spreadsheets. So, Olden Board, Disaster, if you can hear me, do it for Uncle Ollie. Just, you know, get something done here. Now, Anubis, we're looking at, I don't know, the cat shelter mark or whatever, as we get ready to get into the fight here. On the defense first, Olden Board, they want to defend this first and then, you know, better the time of Disaster. Usually a good idea to go about that, but if your opponent is a team that basically just forgoes defending altogether and only does the attacking side, but does the attacking side very well, that is a risky pick here, Ocean.
This is interesting, right? Because they're running this standard brawl defense. What Disaster are showing right now, I don't think they'll either for it. I think it's something very spammy, double bubble, or it won't be double bubble anymore, it'll be Diva. So this doesn't look good for the board. Pure Irish is going to have the defense point A of their life. They're going to have to disrupt and isolate as both DPS here for Disaster. This is going to be difficult for them. Even Monk and Kage on Echo and Ash. Pure Irish has a lot of work to do. That's a lot of spam to try and get rid of.
There's a lot of spam to try and get rid of, and that's a lot of spam to try and dodge if you can. Now you already see Kage going in around that side, going for an attack onto Cappy. Cappy goes quite low there for a second, as you do see that Disaster just surrounding their opponent here. Teemo, though, immediately reverses that momentum, pushes out with the help of Sir Gibson. Sir Gibson has to use the ice block. Pure Irish going very low, actually losing that mech here, and that means that a lot of meat has just been packed for Olden Board. Henning closes it out, and now the momentum should be good on the side of a Disaster, and they're coming in from the side. Sir Gibson once again on the ice block, now moving in. Henning knows what's up, has that nano, has that primal rage, and moves it in as momentum goes down. Momentum actually takes down 2, and that is one hell of an attack Mercy. That's a very good attack by Disaster, and that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Olden Board are the better round team, but do not let Disaster attack, because they will run circles around you.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. They actually kind of just ran circles around Olden Board until they made a mistake. It wasn't Olden Board making a mistake, really. It was Disaster forcing a mistake out of Olden Board. Teemo and Sir Gibson caught out early, and from there, easy team fight win. And now they're going to have better ultimate charge. Okay, almost at that duplicate. Let's watch out for that player in this next team fight.
Yeah, that's right. Kage looking for it. Still damage boosted. Gets rid of the bubble on the side. And Shu is also pretty near to that bomb. So with a little bit of a decent missile barrage, they should be able to actually get something onto that point. Disaster not going blindly for that point. I do like that. Now the fight is going though. Kage with the copy. There it is. Another Primal Rage moving it in. That point is being captured. The Diva Bomb did not find a lot, but they didn't need to. It just needed to clear that point as Henning moves in, puts that bubble down, has another nano boost up on it. Cappy this time on the Reaper tries to get rid of Henning, but Henning is just too quick for them here. Now the first third, very close to being captured. Monk gets rid of Pure Irish. Starboy, while going over the top, is not touching a lot of real estate. There is a window of opportunity here on the side coming out of a Snappy, but there's not enough damage to fire it out. I say that though, Momentum and Freyo both going down. No more healers on the side of Disaster as Monk finds Starboy on this side. This is a very good defense, Olden Board. I did not expect you to have that, but another Primal Rage coming out. Henning and Shu still the front line, but they need to pull back. They need to regroup, and it's not worth inting on that point here. Still, 4 minutes on the clock. Good attack. better defense right now, but a lot of ultimates had to be set on both sides in order to make this happen.
It's also just a law, and also it was just a very long team fight, so their time by got drained. However, that being said, Timo's had to back out early, so it's another small window of opportunity.
Now let's move back with Timo. Timo now jumping up onto that high ground. Maybe wants to go into the backline, but is a little bit, well, not subtle enough. Though they get Henning out of commission, that is a very good way to start that fight. Sir Gibson on this side. They are looking to stagger out Disaster as much as they can. Momentum and Freyu going down yet again. Sir Gibson going back with the rest of the team. And now it's just shooting fish in the proverbial barrel.
Yeah, they're going to finish up that team fight. That was a lot better from all the board. And do you remember, 2-3 minutes ago when Disaster just played point A and we were very excited about how they were playing it? Now, all the board, sitting very comfortably on 6 ultimates on their defense, 3 minutes left on the clock. Disaster struggling to finish off fights, struggling to finish off targets. They will have a nice engager tool. They will have that nano boost. Will they be able to do anything with it though?
Well, first of all, there's still 2 minutes 45 on the clock. And second of all, there are a couple of ultimates that they can use here. Cafe goes in, has that high noon, takes some momentum. Freyu dying to Sir Gibson yet again. Diva bomb from Pure Irish flying over, and Old and Board are in control. The Bob, well, he's nice to look at. Pure Irish thought so as well, but there's not much that will accomplish. Kage using that duplicate in that fight, though, was a surprise to me.
Yeah, well, that duplicate did actually technically force out 4 ultimates on the side of all the bodies. Self-destruct, nano boost, pulse pump, and Deadeye of their own. So now we're kind of in a mismatch of a fight where both teams will probably have 2 ultimates each. And Disaster have ultimates the better link. So, nano boost in the final range.
Oh, but that doesn't help if your main healer immediately dies again. Pure Irish just drops that big mechanical box on top of Freyu, and that means Disaster have to pull back once again. 1 minute 46 on the clock. No amount of anti-healing will help you with that one.
Yeah, and the problem is, that was the ring condition. They need that nano boost to come onto Henning if they're going to do anything in the fight. So if all the board keep taking out Freyu, nothing will happen for Disaster.
Now moving back, it's Gibson. He is in the back line. Doesn't have an ultimate, but really doesn't need it. Goes for momentum yet again. Timo jumps in, has a primal rage, knows that he can take a little bit of slack here. Gets stunned out, and a lot of damage being set up onto Timo there. Without that primal rage, he would surely have died. Snappy going down, and this time Disaster looking a lot better. Sir Gibson does get momentum, but it doesn't really matter a lot. Cafe on the sideline gets Kage down. Henning takes down Pure Irish, and Disaster pulls back for a second just to regroup. Snappy is in trouble. Cafe is there to help out, and now Disaster trying to keep up the pressure. The 2/3 are already down. 1 versus 2 up on that point. Old and Board coming back in. Henning, unable to keep himself alive here in that little bit of corner. 30 seconds on the clock, but that was a very, very close one. Right there, 30 seconds on the clock. Disaster may actually get one more attack off if they can get some boots on the ground.
Disaster had a really nice team fight there, maximizing the value of their space. They actually almost just got that capture for free. Old and Board, a little reluctant to get back and engage on that point, but they eventually do. Disaster, they have to come in. Got a close search, pulse bomb. Is that the one?
Pure Irish, now there's the Diva Bomb, flying it over the side. Monk already going down. Momentum follows immediately. Sir Gibson finds Shu on the side, and this is not looking well. While Timo goes down, Henning and Freyu both bite the dust, and that's a lot of dust. We're in Egypt after all. Kage trying to extend the overtime wick, but is alone versus 4 people. Will most likely not be able to set this up to the side. Is still alive though with the help of momentum. The overtime wick keeps being extended, and I can't believe what I'm seeing. This should be over. What are you doing, All on Board? This should be over. This is finally over. Round 1 complete. That looked very good for Disaster. It did. About 4 minutes ago. And then everything went to hell in a handbasket. And that was just because of indecision on Disaster's side. That first attack, if they kept on that point, I know at that point it looked like a little bit of inting, but if they would have kept on, I think they could have made it. After all, in retrospect.
I think I'm going to agree. I mean, they just weren't decisive enough in, what targets they shoot, and also just to go or not. I think that's the point you were trying to bring in here. They created an opening for themselves and did absolutely nothing for about 30-40 seconds, and they realized, oh crap, we have an opening, let's go. It just wasn't quite enough in that first fight on point B. And now we kind of saw that snowball backwards. We usually talk about the offensive snowballs we see on Assault, right? Where you capture point A, you go right into point B and get a second capture. It snowballed the other way around. From that first fight on point B, Golden Board just built up ultimates and built up control. And, it's sort of a reverse snowball, this time for the defense on Assault. Nicely played from Golden Board. They set themselves a win condition. All they got to do, if they want to get 3 wins on the board in Contenders Trials and potentially secure their spot in Contenders, all they got to do here against Disaster is claim both points of Temple of Anubis in around 7 minutes or so.
That's right. Now, Olden Board have themselves a nice goal inside. Well, Disaster, they don't want that to happen, because if Disaster loses today, it's gonzos for them. They are out of the trials, and they will not have a spot in the Contenders setup here today after day 5 of Contenders Trials. So, Disaster on the defense, once again, running with that very mobile composition. It did serve them well on the attacking side. On the defense, we've seen, let's say, mixed results up so far. What do you think is going to happen here on point A, Ocean?
I think they're just going to, no indecision, just rush into them, pick a target, and go. They're good at this rush composition. This rush composition is good on point A, Temple of Anubis. They just need to get the right target and go, go, go.
That's right. Now, Kage finds a good target, beams down Cafe. So, with 1 DPS down, Olden Board may have lost a little bit of momentum, but that high ground is being fought over. You already see that both Monk and Shu are getting pushed away. At the end of it all, though, Timo goes down. Kage comes in for the helping side. Point A still firmly in the hand here of Disaster. Olden Board seem to have some trouble to find that opening.
I feel like that team fight goes a lot differently if Cafe's still alive at the start of it, because that was a pretty neat engagement for Golden Board. They get into the high ground to push back Monk, and Timo gets a kill early on, so they keep doing that. So Gibson might have been caught out here. Now they'll be able to transit hit away Cafe, and yet again goes down early. I wonder if they'll switch to something like a Reaper here, because they seem to be not enjoying the Tracer at the moment.
They are, but Cafe knows that the only way to get past this very mobile composition is be even more mobile. That is why that Tracer Sombra composition is probably their best bet. At least that's how I would imagine it. Kage has a duplicate ready, and it's just waiting for the next attack here coming out. And there it is. Kage with that copy, jumps in with that Winston, goes straight onto the sleeping Timo. Not sure why that was the best way of doing it, but at the end of the day, they get that Primal Rage and are able to at least clear A for a second, going into that little room to fight. At the end of the day, Kage gets away with it. The EMP comes out, and now Olden Board have the momentum on their side. However, Disaster not really losing a lot of players, not any players actually, from that EMP. And the question then is, was that EMP right for them? Olden Board made themselves a base of operations, though, Ocean.
Yeah, and they're going to go straight on the momentum here and try and get that kill now, switching their focus over to Kage and testing the final into this fight.
Your Irish and Timo both find their targets. Cafe! That's a good bomb! Monk and Kage out of commission, and that should be point A.
Yeah, absolutely should be. Are they set up for the snowball potential? Honestly, right? They're going to have a self-destruct to get some space, and then they'll have the coalescence to engage in on that space that they've created. Disaster? Watch out for Follow and Henning. They have got a nano boost. It will likely all go to Henning, Kage. Whoever gets that nano boost has to pop off. Otherwise, they could just be going home right here, right now. Yeah, they'll play their other trials game, but it won't be for anything. They won't have anything to compete for. So, for all you, Kage, Henning, which one of you is going to step up here in this next fight?
Now we will see. They do need to have a step up. They're pure Irish, and the rest of Olden Board going in over the side. Shu is there, so is Henning with the nano boost. There's the coalescence coming out as Snappy just fires in the laser. And that means that the first third is already capped. The second third already moving in, and it does look very hairy. Henning jumps in, immediately gets taken out on the other side. Momentum and Freyu unable to hold points on there, and that is it. End of story. Olden Board take the series.
Olden Boards get their third win of this Contenders Trials campaign. If they get one more, they will guarantee their spot in the top 4 and move into Contenders. They still can get into Contenders with those 3 wins though. Disaster eliminated, they will be going back out of the Contenders trials and Contenders system, back down to Open Division. That being said, before we talk about Olden Born and their win, I want to talk about some of the individuals on Disaster, because I am very excited for the future of some of their players. Momentum in particular I thought was really, really strong, and honestly, Henning and Froyu also at points looked really strong as well, and Shaw of course had made some pretty good plays. So these individuals, make sure to watch out for them in the future.
Absolutely right. And now let's take a look at the schedule for the rest of the series. Yes. Okay. Next up, of course, is a Fourth Dimension versus a Sheer Cold. We already alluded to that. Sheer Cold expected to be the clear favorite here, but do not count out Fourth Dimension. And then later on today, we are moving over to the American side of things as Obey Alliance goes against Malice. That could be a very good game. And Drifters versus Wisp. All of this, of course, here on Monkey Bubble Reflash. Now, we are going to go into a little bit of a break in a second. Why are we going to do that? Well, quite simply, because I have to run. I have some shit to do. And it's been an absolute pleasure to jump in here today, Ocean. Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for, letting me crack your ears for a little while. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. When we get back, someone else will take over here on the side of Ocean as Sheer Cold take on Fourth Dimension. Until then, don't go anywhere. It's too late. You had the debate. Of course, I am still here because we forgot something. No, of course we didn't. Pure Irish is here, our good friend from the Old and Board roster, who have just taken a 3-1 win versus Disaster, and he's here to answer a couple of questions. Pure Irish, it has been ages since we talked, but first of all, congratulations on that win, mate.
Thanks, man. It's been too long since I've been here. Too long.
Definitely has. So, my first question is, a little bit of a standard question, but how did you prepare for versus Disaster? Did you do something specific, or did you just, move in and see what happens?
In general, for every team, we prepare for like the day before. We have a really good coaching staff. They always keep us prepared. Like we go over, we have pre-scrim talks, pre-warm-up talks, after warm-up talks. So we're always talking, always thinking about the game before we go in, and even during like pauses and stuff, we'd be talking about different shots and stuff to try out. So it's always the coaching staff, and even us as players, like especially Snape and Cafe and Timo, they're always coming up with new stuff and just talking about it non-stop.
And how was it playing specifically against Disaster? Because Disaster strats seem to be revolving around the way Ocean said it, literally running circles around you and forcing you into mistakes. It looked like in some parts of some maps, they were quite successful at that. How do you go about countering that?
Honestly, I thought that they would play more Brawl. They played Brawl in scrims in the past, so I thought that's what they'd be like mirroring into us. But like as soon as when I came out on Ilios and I saw like that they were playing like kind of spam comps, it kind of surprised me. But we've practiced a lot against like teams like Oh Yeah and stuff like that, who also play comps like that. So we have these like standard setups for every single comp we come into, so it's not anything special.
All right.
All right. I've got kind of two questions for you. I'm gonna hand them both over to you. So you finished 7th or 8th in Contenders, in the previous 2 Contenders seasons. A lot of people were sort of criticizing. We kind of had a meme flying around. We scrim tier 2 on the board that you can actually find in your Discord gift search bar. What do you want to say to some of those critics? Because this Contenders trial season, you lot have been on fire. You've been edging out some close wins, and of course today you were dominant. So, critics-wise, do you want to say anything towards them, and how do you feel your team are improving?
I think back in Contenders, like when we were playing back then, we were a much worse team than we are now. So I understand some of the criticism we're getting, but it's nothing new for me. As you said, I finished like last in every single Contenders. I'm always like on the underdog team. So like that stuff, I think for me and especially my team, like it really drives us to get better, because nobody wants to be like the laughing stock of tier 2. So we've used that and we've improved. We put so much effort in. So like I actually welcome it. I like it. I think it's funny.
Nice, love it. And I've got one more question about the actual game. So there was a couple of really nice moments for you where you're playing really fast on the ball position. So your first team fight on Bonnie on your offense, your original offense. We'll not talk about your second offense. I don't think it was that great. Your original offense pretty strong with how aggressive you're playing with those brawls. A lot better than we've seen in not just last Contenders, but other trials matches. Is that something you've been working on in particular recently, or is it just something that's finally come good in the game? Those faster paced brawl comps.
Yeah, I think stuff like that, it comes with experience as a team, because when you first join a team, you're going to be playing a lot more slower. You don't really trust your teammates to do certain plays. You're playing more passively. But as you play more together, especially on like the Brawl comp, which we play a lot on, we start to trust each other. So we just know like, okay, we're going to go in. Everybody knows where they're going to be. Where like I know where Snappy is going to be at all times. So it's really easy to transition into like a fast and then go back to slow and then fast again. Just experience, I think, that helps with it.
All right, mate. So, looking forward, you are still in the running to get back up there. Is that something in the back of your mind as you're playing, or is this still? Are you guys still in the stage of growing together as a team? What's your end goal here?
I think the match win today has like took a lot of stress off my shoulders. I knew that we had to win. I think one of the matches. I prefer to beat Raspberry tomorrow, but we'll see when that comes. But I really wanted to win today to take some stress off. We're looking good now in the bracket. So I think we're always just looking forward to the next match. We're looking to Raspberry, and then after that, hopefully, we're looking to Contenders, and we're just going to keep moving forward, keep chugging along.
Right, last question, a little bit of a dangerous one. Any message for Raspberry tomorrow?
Ooh, like it.
I mean, a lot. Okay, I don't want to be toxic. I'm not a toxic guy, but a lot of teams rated them way above us in contenders when they did just as bad as we did in the 2 seasons that we played. Like they won a map on the last season or the last round, and we won a map on the first one, and that's it. So I think it'll be a good match.
Oh yeah, you're certainly matched up against each other. All right, thank you so much for your time. Go enjoy, your lessened stress level, if you so will, with the rest of your team. Good luck tomorrow against Raspberry Racers. And this time around, ladies and gentlemen, I do have to sign out because we do bring you a new play-by-play, and we will bring you Sheercold versus Fourth Dimension in just a couple of minutes. Until then, don't go anywhere.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to day 5 of our European Contenders Trials. I'm Waffles for Sid, and I'm going to be your fresh face here on the play-by-play side. But not to fret, folks, because Ocean here, still a familiar face joining me on the analysis side. Ocean, great to be joining you here today. How you doing after your last match so far?
Well, it was certainly an interesting game. Disaster. And I unfortunately will not be going to Contenders. We'll drop back down into the Open Division system. It's going to be an exciting game now here because we get to see Sheer Cold. And we also get to see a little bit more of their progress from last week. And it's not going to be only about competing and getting back into Contenders for them. It's going to be about competing against the top 4 Contenders teams and Fusion University for them. That's what this game is all about. Can they dominate against Fourth Dimension?
Yeah, and, really setting themselves apart from the other teams, winning in a way that really is no contest to show that you deserve to be at the top and you deserve a spot in Contenders. All these teams have their eyes on a prize that big, and that's what they train all these long hours of scrimming and VOD reviews for. And Fourth Dimension is going to have their work cut out for them if they're going to, make a stand here in this next match.
Yeah, now here's the interesting thing. Now, there are some stakes to this game. Yeah, we think Sheer Cold are going to win. We think 4D, they've been playing well and just haven't won. Well, they're going to need to win today. Otherwise, they will also be going back down to the Open Division system, and Sheer Cold will guarantee them a place back in Contenders.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line for both of these teams. Who do you think is going to be kind of a driving force that we should keep our eye on, as far as setting tempo and creating opportunities for both sides?
Well, what's really interesting to me with Sheer Cold plays is every single time they save an opportunity, a player on their team flicks a switch and they're going. And that is Will Mamone, or Hydrangea is the account they are playing on for this Contenders trial season. So Hydrangea, really good at finding opportunities on that Tracer. But so is Fourth Dimension's Tracer, that is Braven. So we could see a little bit of a Tracer duel unfold here between Braven and Hydrangea.
Yeah, well, managing those blinks is going to be, part of the name of the game as far as some health pack control, too. I'm sure we'll see that. I am really curious to see, what they're going to roll out for our Ilios map to kick off the set. Obviously, control... For Ilios, there's 3 different map types, and they are very different terrains that could be played for composition-wise. What map do you think might favor one of these teams over the other?
I think, in particular, Sheer Cold like the Double Bubble a lot more than Fourth Dimension will. Okay. I think NKZ has been a little bit more confident on the Zarya recently, and I think the rest of the team just kind of falls into place with that composition. They just are at home, they're on their preferred heroes, apart from maybe ANJ, who likes Lucio. Mm-hmm. So, honestly, Well and Lighthouse will look pretty strong for sure. Cold Ruins is where Fourth Dimension are going to look to keep an upset.
Nice, yeah. Well, Ruins has those long sight lines as well, so some potential for maybe some DPS popping off to give it those flashy plays that always clip and, make those commercial highlight reels over and over.
Yeah, we need that content for our Twitter, so hopefully DPS players do provide some plays. Looking at you, Will Mamone, or otherwise known as Hydrangea.
Right. Let's have those big flashy ones here. Always cutting down the backline first is typically the goal. I am curious to see, though, if, Fourth Dimension is going to be able to maintain their space and really establish themselves strong in this first round. I know they're the underdog here, but this is where you want to set the tempo and, show Sheer Cold that this is going to be a tough fight for them.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting start. Here on Lighthouse, this is one of the points that should theoretically favor Sheer Cold. I think they will run double bubble here. If they don't, it'll probably be just a standard brawl composition where ANJ can play Lucio. Yeah, no, it's going to be double bubble from them on Fourth Dimension. To a little bit of my surprise, they're going to look to mirror that. I think the only difference we're really going to see is Asking's going to play McCree, because that's one of their more comfort picks, and the Holy Pig is going to play Echo, one of their more comfort picks.
Yeah, well, and those echoes have been extremely deadly lately. Those sticky bombs consistently putting in the damage with the focus beam to follow up. It's going to be a lot of eyes on asking on that McCree to really put the Holy Pig in their place.
Actually, one thing I've just noticed here is 4th Dimension this week have Sobek in the lineup. Recently promoted from 5th Dimension is Froki. Their main support from last week has retired from Overwatch, so that's going to be interesting. Can Sobek support their DPS well on that Brigitte?
Yeah, and going ahead and jumping up here to the high ground to kick off the match. Does fall a little bit low, but manages to stay alive just barely. Great heals coming through from Sheer Cold. Now, 4th Dimension going ahead and going for that engagement now on the lower ground. Not finding much, but NKZ does manage to find the first kill here to open up the fight. That's going to be the go button for Sheer Cold to push forward and get aggressive.
Yeah, this is good. This is going to kind of take a wee break for Noid. Brandov's going to try and push the advantage, get forced away, and NKZ had a strong start to this series. Looks a lot more confident on this area than previously seen, and it's getting a lot of value.
Yeah, right now, 14% and counting for Sheer Cold with the Nano Boost online for both teams, so it's going to be interesting to see which way they want to engage. There it is, already thrown though for Sheer Cold, and Asking gets the first pick onto the Holy Pig. Now that they're up by 2, thanks to Asking getting another one in his pocket. Ocean, that's going to send 4th Dimension back to the respawn room.
Yeah, sometimes, it's not, any sort of analysis needed. It's just Asking is insane at McCree and basically shut down a nano boost to Winston and Echo immediately. So that fight is done and dusted, and now they have to contest with Asking's Deadeye, and Crandop is going to be right in their faces with the Primal Rage.
I could do some healing.
Asking has that Deadeye as well, like you said, and is taken out early in the fight. The Holy Pig puts him in his place there, and now 4th Dimension goes for the objective themselves, putting that pressure on and forcing Sheer Cold to come back and pay attention. We've got the Tracer duel going here on the point, and the stick just before she falls lands there and takes down a member of Sheer Cold. After that, 4th Dimension now has 2 picks in their favor, and they've decided to move on to the point and are capping it now.
That was a lot better. Holy Pig was able to get onto Asking immediately and win that duel. I think that's something 4th Dimension should look at this series. Just try and put Asking under as much pressure as possible and limit their space. It's going to be difficult to do that this time because they'll be supported by the Brigitte, who will have Rally.
Yeah, really curious to see, what engagement comes through. There it is, the rally. It's going to be reinforcing everyone on Sheer Cold to get aggressive and feel real beefy going into this next fight here against 4th Dimension. 4th Dimension does have 28% and counting on the point, but Sobek falls first from Asking. Now he's following up with a High Noon himself, zoning everyone away. Sheer Cold are getting the kills as they have to be forced away from that High Noon, out of that sightline and into their maw.
Yeah, just a little bit of a quick finish up. Hydrangea wins that Tracer duel. Tracer duel that we did talk about later. Not a fair Tracer duel this time around. But what I like with that fight from Sheer Cold is when that Deadeye goes off, they don't just sit there and say, oh yeah, we got some space off that Deadeye. They do something with that space. They walk into 4th Dimension and they get some kills. That's something that a lot more teams need to integrate into their play, and Sheer Cold are very good at it.
Yeah, Sheer Cold continuing to hold the point and counting 91%. It's going to be last fight territory here as 4th Dimension move around. They lose, and Draco early though. That's going to be a great Primal Rage kill coming in for Sheer Cold. OT bar has been triggered, and thankfully there is someone on the point to trigger it there. Pulse bombs online, and kills are going back and forth. This fight is going to be a long one as no one wants to give it up quite yet. 4th Dimension doing everything they can to stay in this game. Great stickies coming through from the Holy Pig, but it is looking rough for them as the OT bar and their players continue to trickle down. And it's still another last minute touch, but Ocean, it's looking like a first map going to go to Sheer Cold here.
Yeah, Chase Torch is trying to contest with the Primal Rage. There's not much hope for them. Map 1 is going to go over to Sheer Cold. They were favored to win with that double bubble composition. They were always going to be a little bit more comfortable. 2 factors that put them across the edge. Hydrangea is just very, very good at the game. Like, that last team fight, I think it was 5 final blows. That really did help them. And also, 4th Dimension are struggling to get Andrico in the fight. Now, I remember, I think the last Open Division of 2020, Andrico was playing on a team called Secure, I believe. And they stood out to me immediately. I thought they were a particularly good flex support player. And when they get into the fight, that's when they're going to be able to get that value. They weren't able to get into the fight there. Sheer Cold punished them extremely well. We'll see if Fourth Dimension can adapt to that later on there. They seem to be running something a little bit different here. So back, are we going to go over to the Mercy or the Brigitte here? And it's going to be full dive from Fourth Dimension.
Maybe that'll yield a little bit different results for the well map here. This is the one that you said they could make a... Or no, that was Ruins. Ruins is the one they were looking for. It's going to be tough for them because Sheer Cold here setting up and moving forward around this side of the well. The engagement coming through in the small white room. And oh, the first person to get taken down is Chase Torch. That anti absolutely devastating coming through. Now Sheer Cold has the doors open for them to cap the point and send Fourth Dimension back to spawn.
Yeah, 4D needs to play a lot faster with their composition because they don't have much healing. There's a Lucio speed boost and a Harmony Orb. Like, that's really all they've got. They've got Discord Orbs as well. Like, this is a pretty poor composition for 4D. They can make it work if they play fast, and they had a pretty nice start with Chase Torch's Wisdom Bubble, denying a lot of healing. Unfortunately, Chase Torch also went down, and Kinesion going down early again means that it's going to be another difficult fight for Fourth Dimension if they even take one in the next couple of seconds.
Yeah, and if the more they wait, the more percentage is favored in Sheer Cold, right? Capping here on the objective. Oh, a little bit of a fight coming through on the high ground, but Chase Torch is the first person to go down once again from Fourth Dimension. Not quite getting all the support he needs during those engagements, but Sheer Cold holding strong, and I like the spread out position that they've taken here along this side.
Yeah, they've got Nano Boost as well. They can throw that onto NKZ whenever they need a little bit of extra support, and I think that moment might be coming soon.
Oh, a big pick comes through, though, onto Anj. So this is the gates opening for Fourth Dimension as they've taken down one healer and another one to follow up. That tank is out of the equation, and now they're continuing to press the W key and move forward. Looks like the point is going to be capped in Fourth Dimension's favor.
Nice. That was a good team fight for Fourth Dimension.
Yeah.
Cramped Up got a little bit aggressive, and they punished that, and they were patient enough to wait to go on to NKZ. After the Nano Boost was applied, they killed ANJ early. Nice team fight from them, and we're starting to see a Tracer Jewel develop on the side. That's going to be deciding who has a little bit more space going into this next fight, and Fourth Dimension seem to be holding that space for now.
Yeah, and it looks like, there's a bit of reinforcements coming through from the tank lineup on Sheer Cold as well. Curious to see how they're going to pair up, but, oh, this pulse bomb from Hydringa is going to be nasty. There it is. It's denied. Oh, beautiful E coming through from Ariel there, and more kills in favor of Fourth Dimension. Sheer Cold being pushed back on this attack, and now the Dragon Blade to follow up seals the deal and sends him home for that attack.
This is really cool from Fourth Dimension. I don't think I've seen a Lucio Zenyatta support working in quite a while. They're playing fast when they need to. They're not playing silly, though. It's quite good from Fourth Dimension. They'll have a self-destruct for this next fight, which might stop Sheer Cold's backline from getting space. But if they do get space, they'll have a Graviton Surge to try and win the fight with. So watch Ariel self-destruct at the start of this next fight.
Yeah, well, if Ariel can eat the Graviton as well, that'd be another big opportunity for Fourth Dimension and a huge denial. There's a great Tracer Pulse Bomb online once again for Fourth Dimension and doesn't quite find... Oh, it does! NKZ does get taken down, but at what cost? Fourth Dimension loses many other players in the process, and now Sheer Cold getting aggressive and continuing to move forward and retake this point in their favor.
Yeah, Sheer Cold will take this fight, but Fourth Dimension, they extend their advantage quite well, get to around 99%. They will get 99% with Holy Pig, or sorry, Kinesion stalling a little bit longer. However, this is going to be difficult for them to take off Sheer Cold. They've only really got the Transcendence for the next fight, and look at the support ultimates online for Sheer Cold.
Yeah.
Mana Boost, Rally, those are fights that are going to, or ultimates that are going to make the fight longer. And the longer the fight goes, the longer Sheer Cold have a percentage.
And Sheer Cold, Hydrangea has that Pulse Bomb online. Look at this. He's hunting, and he could end the fight before it even starts with a Pulse Bomb stick like this. Is getting targeted, though, so a good thing Fourth Dimension is aware of that threat in their backline, and, well, pretty much that he is looking for... Not aware enough! There it is! Transcendent saves him in the nick of time. Great reaction coming through from Andraco there. Asking does get the pick, though, and now Sheer Cold are getting all the kills in the kill feed. Looking rough for Fourth Dimension as, well, they've pretty much been wiped out, and we have pretty much passed first fight territory, so gonna be a map here win for Sheer Cold.
Yeah, Sheer Cold will take this fight, but if they do get space, they'll have a Graviton Surge to try and win the fight with. So watch Ariel self-destruct at the start of this next fight, and Fourth Dimension seem to be holding that space for now.
I gotta say,
Yeah.
Ocean, that was a good second round coming through from Fourth Dimension, though.
Yeah, that was unique, right? We haven't seen something like that in a while, right? We haven't. I don't think anyone has. I think if I saw that in my comp game, I'd be screaming down and I would not be happy. But Fourth Dimension made it work. Sheer Cold were a little thrown off, but when it mattered, Sheer Cold, they showed their class. Asking got those lovely kills in that last fight. I thought they were quite strong. Sheer Cold, I think they're comfortably the better team. But I want to see more of this unique composition coming out of Fourth Dimension, or anything unique coming out of them, because it did give them a minuscule advantage.
Totally. Yeah, well, I do think that, the fact that they have Sobek on their team, who, just recently joined them on Fourth Dimension, it seems like they are doing really well with the newest edition. Personally, I don't think that there's too many times that he's getting caught out of the way, and I do believe that Fourth Dimension needs to be reinforcing their Winston a bit more when he's jumping in. Seems like he's the first to go down, but, curious to see what changes come through for our next map, Ocean.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Sobek, of course, coming from Fifth Dimension. Fourth Dimension had those changes recently where Holy Pig and Chase Torch both, before Open Division, were on Fifth Dimension and then promoted to 4D, and of course they won Open Division, so they are no stranger to making those sort of changes, and it's no surprise Sobek is comfortable. Next map-wise, though, they got to go something that allows them to play something maybe brawly or something a little bit more linear, kind of how Ilios Well was played. I don't think they want to go to a double bubble matchup against Sheer Cold. I think that would be not very intelligent from them.
No. But we are going to Junkertown for our next matchup. So, I'm curious to see what they are going to bring to the table. Obviously, some good bunker rush comps available for Junkertown, but those sightlines could definitely come to take your head off if they go double sniper route.
Yeah, I think earlier we saw just different types of poke compositions. We saw the double shield, and we saw the return of a Sigma Wrecking Ball composition. Sigma Wrecking Ball getting a lot of value on point I seemed to be the way to go in our previous series between Disaster and who won the Olden Board? Just forgotten. I'm losing my memory here. So we could see some poke compositions. I don't really expect to see anything else, but this is a unique pick from Fourth Dimension, right? I think they know they're never going to win a double bubble war, and double bubble isn't really good on this map. It's good on point B for the starting bit of point B, so other than that, I like this pick from Fourth Dimension.
Yeah. Well, they definitely want to set themselves up for, success if possible. It is their map pick. So I'm expecting to see them be more confident and comfortable on this terrain and with these compositions, because this is supposed to be their wheelhouse here on Junkertown. I am curious to see if there's going to be some mitigation on the output from the Tracer of Sheer Cold. Just absolute monstrosity coming through from Hydrangea. Pulse Bomb after Pulse Bomb stick. There was one eat, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to really turn the fight consistently.
Well, I think this pick from Fourth Dimension actually might allow them to do that, right? Because, they could have a Draco play this in Yata and just forcibly just mark that Tracer with the Discord of 24/7. They could do that. Area will probably be babysitting their supports a little bit. They're with the Brigitte Zen or the Mercy Zen, depending on what they want to run here. Like I said, it's a little up in the air what these teams will play. All we know is it'll be some sort of poke, potentially Widowmaker, probably Tracer. Somber and Hanzo are also valid here, so we'll see what the team's up for. It's probably going to be comfort.
I do like your idea of the Zenyatta just, constantly tagging a bounty on someone every time, over and over again. We've all been in that position where we're shredded much faster than anticipated because, everyone's looking at you with the Discord orb, and utilizing that. Trances coming out from that as well were so quick. Definitely supposed to be insta-death from the Pulse Bomb sticks, and I'm not sure if forcing out the trance every time is always what Fourth Dimension is going for, but definitely preferred over death, and gonna be looking to see how they handle that.
Well, this is going to be interesting for me because this is Fourth Dimension's map choice. They're going to be on the attack first. we'll see what sort of pull composition they've been practicing a lot, because obviously this is a comfort pick for them,
Right,
right?
right.
You wouldn't take this wouldn't be your first protocol if it wasn't a comfort pick at all. I know all the other escort maps double bubble is strong, so maybe this is forced, but there's got to be some sort of comfort here that allows 40 to play here, and I don't think that Lucio Zenyatta will come out here. I don't think it's too strong. I don't think he really should be running it, but they ran it before, and it worked for them quite well on Ilio as well, so why not here?
Right. Happy to be wrong on that front if it's going to give us some riveting new Overwatch comps and play styles. I do like the fact that, Asking is on this Widowmaker. There's going to be headhunting aboard.
Yeah, look at Fortune Dimension's combo. But okay, yeah, they're not going for that recipe. They are switching it up. Bull Diva, this is similar to what we saw on Ilya's Welcome. Bull Dive, Lucio Zenyatta, they've got to play fast, and if they aren't fast enough, Sheer Cool will just beat them, right? That's just what will happen. So they've got to play fast and not get caught out by Hydrangea. Those are the two-way conditions for 4D.
Yeah, and Hydrangea is going to be looking for those people who are isolated, as well as the payload is going to continue moving forward. Great deflect coming through, but you can't deflect the flail. Holy Pig, run away from the brig. Hydrangea does fall a bit low, but regrouping and still hunting for a victim. Asking has so much space here on this Widowmaker. One pick there, down, and no contest. There's no one putting pressure on him, and as soon as the Tracer starts to move around, already throwing the Venom Mine, not sneaky enough, and is looking to defend himself. Does finally get taken down, but it takes bloodthirsty Sobek to go all the way to the back line to do it, Ocean.
Yeah, honestly, I was about to say, Asking is uncontested because they can't contest it because he's so far back, and then Sobek just walks into him on the loose and just runs at that Widowmaker, gets the kill, and is still alive in that back line, I'm sure, and Drady's going to try and pick up the kill there.
Oh, does manage to grab him just at the tail end and picks up the other support right after that. Someone shut this person down because that is absolutely nasty for Fourth Dimension. There it is, a hat trick to seal the deal, Ocean.
Yeah, honestly, Hydrangea is just very, very good at the game. And Dryco, DC, I was wondering why they were standing still there and allowed that one clip. I mean, they probably would have died anyway with how good Hydrangea's aim is, but Fourth Dimension, I'm not quite liking this conversation. They had that one nice moment where they managed to somehow get onto Asking with Sobek, but other than that, too slow, or they're too much distance to travel to even get on top of that Sheer Cool lineup.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the challenges of Junkertown terrain in general, just those long sight lines across the whole way. And, we did see I saw Asking change right there at the last moment before we flipped over to the McCree instead. So not going to have quite as long of a sight, but definitely, going to have more of that CC available too if they were unhappy with Sobek getting so close to them in their face.
I think that's one of those, okay, Widowmaker's a better pick here, but I don't want to die to Sobek again, so I'm going to pick McCree just for the pure hatred for that play. Trying to use the box to get up to the high ground, wasn't able to do that. That's a moment you could clip if you want to embarrass Asking some time. Sheer Gold will have the supercharger for this next fight, which will make things very difficult for Fourth Dimension.
Pile drive comes through from Fourth Dimension to open up the fight, and Sobek actually goes ahead and takes down the bongos on top of it. So that ultimate has been removed from Sheer Cold very quickly. D-Mex comes through though on Fourth Dimension, and with a tank out of the question, it is going to be a very uphill battle. There are a couple exchanges going back and forth though, so not all hope has been lost. The Dragon Blade is popped by the Holy Pig, and he's trying to find the holiest of kills. Doesn't quite make it there with the Sigma, but does get the help from bloodthirsty Sobek once again, getting those kills. A pulse bomb stick comes through at the back end from Hydrangea, but all in all, Fourth Dimension pushing the point forward, Ocean.
Yeah, they also get Hydrangea, so recontest is going to be very difficult. Can Conduct get there? No! Point A will go to Fourth Dimension. I think they were relying on Hydrangea to get the touch. However, they were taken on in the Tracer duel, which means 40 will capture Point A. I'm looking forward. They have some ultimates to keep going.
A lot of ultimates being thrown here. Sheer Cold also commits their flux, but it is Fourth Dimension coming out on top with that. They've got a couple kills coming through with their own ultimates, Ocean, and well, that was a pretty quick fight.
Yeah, honestly, I did not expect them to engage that quickly. They had the ultimates to do it, but I thought they would be a little bit more patient and wait for a setup. Nope, they just went. And it worked for Fourth Dimension. They actually do need to play quite quickly at this composition if they are going to get any value. They're close to the Transcendence for the next one, but other than that, Sheer Cold have both of their support ultimates to get themselves into the fight with that Matrix and clean it up with Rowley. Let's see if they can execute that though.
Oh, a lot of eyes on the supports, but oh, Chase Torch is the first person to go down from Fourth Dimension, so Sheer Cold already at a one-man advantage on that front. He is going to come back fast, so a gentle stall for Fourth Dimension while they wait for their speedy tank to return, forcing the recall early. Great coming through from Andraco there, and now he's continuing to get bloodthirsty on the high ground. The Holy Pig does get taken down, though, from NKZ, and well, from there, Sheer Cold backing off and using that Amp Matrix to just enable Asking to free fire through one after another and force everyone into what looks like the maws of his teammates.
Yeah, I mean, Asking didn't get much done there, but the important thing for Sheer Cold is they got something done. They won the team fight, and now Fourth Dimension have to walk an awful long way to set up a team fight here. And while they are getting set up, they could get pile jacked by Phantom, they could get pulse bombed by Hydrangea, maybe even an Asking Deadeye could catch them out. This is a really hard walk and a really hard setup for Fourth Dimension right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of booby traps they could definitely encounter. There's the pulse bomb already thrown, but didn't see anything come through on the kill feed, so one of the few times he seems to miss a stick there. Oh, but that was looking dicey in the small room there with the Hammond. High Noon gets popped, doesn't find anything, but it is Crandrop on the back end who does get taken down. Fourth Dimension finding some traction here as they continue to move forward. Recall is forced, but there is the self-destruct on the point, zoning Fourth Dimension off for just a brief moment. There's the sneaky coming through, and the pulse bomb goes thrown, doesn't find the stick, and there it is. The stun comes through. Oh, that is a tough fight for a Genji there against a Brig. And now Sheer Cold has turned the tides and fended off the aggression from Fourth Dimension.
Yeah, what's really cool is the second aerial leads right into this storyline point, right? Okay, awesome. So once Crandop got taken down, the next kill in the kill feed came from NKZ on the Chase Torch, who is getting chased up right now. And NKZ actually used to play for Fourth Dimension, so that's a cool twist. And was replaced by Ariel, who's now staggered out, needs to get back in the mech because they're going to have the self-destruct. They will get back in mech already to have that self-destruct. They need that ultimate to give them some space here on point B.
Recall forced or early as well from Fourth Dimension here, continuing to be, well, moving forward. There it is. Sobek goes ahead and tells them it's time to engage, get aggressive with the sound barrier. Minefield is going to be discouraging to keep anyone on the point, but Andraco pops that trance. Now there's a lot of skirmish happening here in this small room. Self-destruct finds one, but Asking is just once again free firing through the Amp Matrix and pumping out the damage into Fourth Dimension.
Honestly, you know, I hear a lot about how, you know, Fusion University are smurfing in Contenders trials, and yes, they are, but so is Asking. Asking is just unbelievable. In particular, McCree and Ash, they're one of the best hit scouts to watch. Although Fourth Dimension, small opening, they've got a kill on the Hydrangea.
Sobek, another bloodthirsty support kill to kick off Fourth Dimension's attack. There's the self-destruct coming through over the top from NKZ. Doesn't find anything and goes for the remake there. Asking is getting pressured here on the top and takes down Chase Torch with the help of his tank. Now he is still a deadly threat. They cannot shut him down on this high ground. The stall is trying to come through for Fourth Dimension, but that's all she wrote, Ocean, as the OT bar trickles down. And, you know, Fourth Dimension almost capped it there to the second checkpoint.
Yeah, honestly, that Lucio Zenyatta support composition and full dive competition we're seeing on the Fourth Dimension, which has to be played really fast paced, it's not really working, but it's working better than I'd expect. They're getting some value or enough value out of it to make it a close game, aren't they, right?
Yes.
On Ilio as well, they got to 99%, and here they captured a very difficult point day of Junkertown after having some difficulties early on. They managed to get the right engagement, the right aggressive engagement, and go in, get point A, and they also got a lot of point B as well, which does not favor their composition at all. So they seem to find something that they're at least comfortable with. Maybe it's not the most optimal composition. Actually, I'll tell you, it's not the most optimal composition, but it's something they are definitely comfortable with, and Sheer Cold do seem to be struggling with it quite a bit.
Yeah, and, you know, we were talking about, you know, Fourth Dimension's maybe dislike of playing double bubble and how second point of Junkertown does yield to that favorably. So maybe on the on that end as well for them. It's a little bit more of a weaker spot, something they're working on. This defense here coming through is going to have to be outstanding for them, though. This is going to be, if the momentum gets rolling for Sheer Cold too far into the second point, it's going to be really hard to stop them just before they cap.
I mean, Sheer Cold here, yeah, no doubt, they are the better team. They're gonna go for the Contenders in second place, especially if they win this series, if that's pretty much locked in. Although they have to face a challenging composition here, right? You know, there's a lot of poke damage coming out from 4th Dimension. 2 snipers, a Mercy to poke it as a Zenyatta as well. Not easy. Sheer Cold going for a poke composition of their own. This is going to be double shield. They don't want to play the Wrecking Ball here. They were showing that. Now back to double shield. We'll see the Widowmaker duel as well between Braven and Asking.
There's damage boost coming through and trying to throw it into the opposing Sigma. Now there's a little bit of a fight breaking out around the alleyway of where the payload rolls up, but we're still in this poke phase here, looking for those picks and those opportunities to take those headshots, and well, there's the headshot to open it up. Asking, kicking it off. Sobek does bring the Holy Pig back to life just as quickly, but you know, Asking here on this wide angle, going to be absolutely deadly and continuing to free fire uncontested. No one's putting pressure on him. What are we gonna do? Just let him take the reins. Oh, there is a great pick coming through there from Kanison, and 4th Dimension turning this fight a bit here around. Looking good for them as it seems that they're finding their footing and traction, and well, on that front, holding defensively.
Asking's going to struggle to get out of this team fight as well, so it's going to be a late stagger. Kalision will get a point for the Widowmaker duel, although I think it should be half a point. But yeah, late stagger here. We're going to be about 2 minutes 20 by the time Sheer Cold gets set up for another engagement. So this is going to be difficult, but made a little bit more easier by Hydrangea's pick on the Kinesion.
Yeah, that is going to be a lot easier for Sheer Cold to push in. With another follow-up coming through. Pulse Bomb kill onto Sobek. That is devastating for 4th Dimension. They're throwing every ultimate they have right now to try to stay in this fight. They got to pick, but at what cost? There's another one going down after that. Hydrangea just peppering them from the back line here, being an absolute nuisance and pester. Now, a pick does come through onto Asking, though, so big plays coming through. 4th Dimension. Oh, almost gets the Widowmaker. I thought he had it there. Looking good, though, as Hydrangea does get a kill on Draco there, and, well, continuing to push forward. Sheer Cold trying to do their best, but it is a scrappy fight here on the Point Ocean as everyone is scattered about, just continuing to throw damage into each other and keep the heals as much as they can.
Yeah, I think they're going to clean it up now, though. Hydrangea finally gets that final kill that's going to unlock this for them. They still need to take on Ariel, and reinforcements are coming, but I think this is going to be over pretty quickly. I mean, Hydrangea is also very, very, very good. I mean, I talked about Asking potentially smurfing earlier. This DPS trio for Sheer Cold has been on fire all of Contenders Trials. I think it's going to be their 4th win in a row, and definitely they've had a lot of success and a lot to do with how Sheer Cold are playing right now. 4th Dimension, make the changes back over. They are now playing Tracer and they are now playing D.Va, so closer to the composition they were running on a bit as well. And of course, our previous round of jump return. The question is, can they get going before Sheer Cold have enough space and enough win conditions to just end this right here, right now?
With Asking free firing on that long range and being pocketed additionally by Anj, it is a tough walk and a tough dive coming through. They've already lost 2 people in the process of trying, and more follow suit. Ocean, it is, well, they got a couple kills in response, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. The point is still going to move forward, and, well, Sheer Cold has the numbers to, you know, hold strong enough and fend off 4th Dimension as they trickle back in.
Yeah, well, Chase Torch is around, Ariel is around, and so is Kinesia, so we'll get another fight while 4th Dimension. Will it be enough?
Oh, big pulse, there it is. Doesn't find anything, though, so a little bit of a miss there from Hydrangea, but I'm sure they will put the work in on the back line. That Fox is so close to the victory thing. Can they stay contesting on it? 2 more kills in favor of 4th Dimension. They're turning this fight in their favor. Ocean, sound barrier committed by Sobek there to keep everyone reinforced. They are definitely ensuring they seal the deal and win this fight. A good pick comes through from Looser onto Chase Torch, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Sheer Cold gently regrouping as they have some time to try and push again.
Crandall was emoting on the point as Orisa, and I think that might have actually cost them. Sobek comes back in with the sound barrier and allows 40 to live once again.
Oh, and here's another engage coming through. The Holy Pig has that blade online. Now is so low though. Cannot utilize it in time. That's going to be devastating for Fourth Dimension if they've lost another person on top of it. Sobek's out of the question, and now they're getting all the kills in their favor here. High Noon is popped, taking out another, and Sheer Cold is going to go ahead and win this Junkertown map.
Honestly, Fourth Dimension, yeah, they may be 2-0 die, and yeah, Sheer Cold, we can clearly see the better team, but they look like, one, they're a team having fun, and two, they're a team that knows what they want to do. They want to start playing more aggressive dive compositions, and yeah, it might not get them to Contenders this time around, but it's something that they can work on in the future to maybe play it in a more meta way or with more meta heroes, and then eventually that might take them to that Contenders level. We'll never know. They are playing with a lot of fun right now, Emlyn.
I totally agree on that front, and I do really enjoy seeing Sobek on that Lucio. I gotta say, bloodthirsty support kill after bloodthirsty support kill, very clutch sound barriers coming through. I have a lot of props and respect for, such a quick reaction time, and man, I'm envious of being able to be so confident in my Lucio aggression. I typically get headhunted much, much sooner, and these guys here are just absolutely crushing it. I mean, the performances from those snipers as well, I do think were very good. Once again, Sobek was there in the pocket, just enabling the team and the DPS to really show their stuff and do what they enjoy and do best.
Yeah. The question now is, though, for 4D, is it time to stop having fun and, maybe take it a little bit more seriously, because they lose one more map. They can't make it to Contenders, and Sheer Cold will guarantee their spot in the next Contenders season, which is a nice thing for them. I mean, it was expected that they would do that. We'll find out if they can do that and finish this series off after a quick break.
Hey folks, and welcome back to the Contenders Trials Europe Day 5. For those of you who may just be joining us here in the middle of this series, we are seeing Fourth Dimension go up against Sheer Cold, and right now it is match point for Sheer Cold. So it's all on the line here, and Fourth Dimension is really going to need to leave it all on the map if they want to show us and stay in this tournament. Ocean, I'm excited to see what we're going to have for this last map and see if, Fourth Dimension is really going to bring the heat for this, or if Sheer Cold is going to continue to persist and show, their refinement and polish.
I'm really interested in this match because it's going to show me not just, Fourth Dimension's intentions seem clear to me. They don't think they're going to make contenders, so they're just trying to find new niches. So for me, it's more about seeing Fourth Dimension in the future. What skills they're going to have, what these players can do. That's what it's going to be for 4D, similar to how Disaster was last series. For Sheer Cold, again, talking about this last week in an important narrative for not just this Contenders Trials, but also next Contenders. I want to see Sheer Cold beat EXO. I want to see Sheer Cold try and beat New Kings, British Hurricane, etc. Because they were close to doing it last Contenders, and they seem to be on the up and up. So I just want to see more consistency from them, and them also just, destroying teams like Fourth Dimension. They need to be winning these games extremely cleanly.
Yeah, and I have to say that's not what we've been seeing in these past maps. Fourth Dimension has definitely been giving them some curveballs that they aren't ready for, and if they truly want to be a strong Contenders team, being able to handle those adaptations and execute correctly afterwards is what's going to set them apart. I do know that sometimes when you're just on that cusp of breaking through, either mentally understanding the game or the dynamic, or maybe it's a team synergy element, sometimes breaking through just that last barrier is really difficult. But as soon as you do, the floodgates just fly open and they are going to absolutely blossom. So, curious to see kind of what would be going on behind the scenes for them as well, and what their thoughts are around that.
Well, I think this is also going to be unique for them, right? Because now, they've seen this weird Genji competition with Lysia Zenyatta twice now, right? So they've had a break as well to, kind of consider what's been going on. What do we need to do to stop them from just playing hyper aggressively and getting a couple of kills? They've had a break now. Let's see what their adaptations are.
Yeah, and they've had some time to regroup. I've talked about this in the past with other teams and other forces to be reckoned with, is what we'll call someone like Hydrangea. That you can't always shut down these players, but you can contain them, and that's going to have to be some of the approach to, minimizing the damage done by those DPS, because both Hydrangea and then asking on that Widowmaker for Junkertown, they need to be contained if Fourth Dimension wants to get some solid footing.
That's actually interesting, because I remember back when NKZ was on Fourth Dimension, that was one thing as a duo player I wish NKZ would do more. Just get in a DPS's face and just annoy them. Since NKZ has went to Sheer Cold, they have been excellent at that. In particular, in the series against British Hurricane, they were really, really strong. So that's something that's unique. And now that's something Ariel has to step up on in this game. They need to contest Hydrangea and asking, otherwise this series will be over very fast.
Yeah, and I wonder, how long it took for NKZ to really feel that comfortability. A big pick coming through already, though? Asking has been removed from the equation of Sheer Cold, and that is going to be a huge go button for Fourth Dimension to just flood onto the point. No questions asked there. Anti does come through onto Chase Torch, but that's not going to be too big of an effect. A nice back off there, and oh man, what a beautiful dash through so many people from the Holy Pig. He is continuing to put the damage in, and Fourth Dimension just flooded onto the point. Ocean. Sheer Cold was not ready at all.
I mean, Asking was not ready for that Widowmaker out of spawn. I think it must have saw Asking taking a more aggressive angle for the spawn doors, and then they were decided, okay, let's go Widowmaker, let's get this kill. And, it worked out well for them. They got an early pick, and now they have an early point capture.
Yeah, I definitely think that was the play to make by Kinesin. It is a low risk, high reward play, and big brain coming through from them on that front.
Yeah, now we have a little bit of time before the next team fight. It's going to be interesting to see both Tracers. They're probably going to have pulse spawn. We'll see what they look to do with those ultimates.
Ooh, a little bit of skirmish here on this side, but the payload's going to keep moving forward. Pick comes through early though, but not without consequences. They have been swapped back and forth now, so they're evened up on numbers. Now, Sheer Cold taking the high ground as Holy Pig trying to contest it here some against that Ashe, getting the heals he needs to fill up after a fight. Does manage to take Asking down there at the end of it, and now Fourth Dimension continuing to get the picks in their favor and roll this payload forward, Ocean.
Honestly, that team fight for Fourth Dimension looked really clean. They kind of started for a couple of seconds there, and Holy Pig found the moments, find the crevices of space that they needed, and got those kills. Awesome. Now they have a Dragon Blade for this next fight. Let's see how they set this up. Because that back line, if A and J doesn't get rally up, we're going to struggle to deal with that Dragon Blade.
Yeah, and we've all seen how deadly a Dragon Blade can be. There he is going ahead and popping it now. Cuts down Lucer right there. Soundberry has been popped in the backline for Fourth Dimension, but Holy Pig doesn't need any of it as he's already taken down both supports from Sheer Cold, pretty much ending this fight before it started. There is a couple kills coming through though in response, so I may have spoken too soon, Ocean. The kills are back and forth, but now it seems like Fourth Dimension is truly picking up some traction and getting this fight. A late rally comes through though from Anj. Oh, this could turn the tide for Sheer Cold here, as now everyone has been reinforced and armored up from Anj. They're getting aggressive, and Chase Torch is booping everyone around, but I don't know if there's enough presence here on the point from him to actually be able to contest for too long. There are so many members of Sheer Cold surrounding him on that front, but this is a long, scrappy fight. They do not want to give it up or give up any space now, so back and forth as we go between the kill feed here. Now another kill coming through, and Fourth Dimension finally pulling out on top with 4:48 left on the clock, Ocean, so almost a different team than what we've seen before.
This is the best I have ever seen Fourth Dimension play. Yes, I've seen them, win Open Division Finals 4-0 technically, and
right.
Oh yeah, have that extra match for coming from the winners bracket. But this is the best I've seen them play, and it's with a weirder composition, but they look so at home right now. They're playing aggressively, they're having fun, and Sheer Cold are struggling to contend with it.
Fourth Dimension came here to, bring the heat. They know this is match point, and there's a lot on the lines. Their aggression is looking good, but, does get a little over-aggressive. Hydrangea takes down on Draco there in the back. Now it's going to be Fourth Dimension down a man and gently regrouping as they wait for that Zenyatta. Crucial player for their comp.
Yeah, and the problem is they have to get the Zenyatta back in the fight without Hydrangea either landing a pulse bomb or just getting a one-click. That's be scary.
Oh! He just rolled straight into the pulse bomb stick there. Now that was the go button as the Dragon Blade has been popped by Fourth Dimension. Sobek reinforces everyone with the sound barrier, and the kills are still all in Fourth Dimension's favor. Ocean, Sheer Cold is going to have to switch to fast comp here to recontest and touch if they even want a chance. No regrouping fully as a team. It is going to be a stall trickle game. There's the Hammond and Diva coming through on the tank lineup, but it is going to be a scrappy fight here. Chase Torch goes for the Primal Rage. Self-Destruct and Transcendence are popped in the back line, but it's actually Krandop that gets Sobek in the thick of everything. Holy Pig getting the kills, but everyone is being displaced by Chase Torch here on this Winston. Asking goes for the high noon pick here, and Sheer Cold is able to stabilize and prevent Fourth Dimension from capping this third point just at the end of it.
Honestly, this has been such a messy fight from both teams, and a messy round from both teams, but I think that probably favors Fourth Dimension a little bit more with how chaotic their composition is naturally. The problem now for Fourth Dimension is they have to walk into a lot of space against Hydrangea, and also they have no ultimates online apart from that pulse bomb. And on the offense, when the respawns are there for the defense, you need a couple more ultimates just to get that extra edge.
I'm not too worried about Fourth Dimension though. The Holy Pig has been building their Dragon Blade so quickly and getting massive amount of value from it. What a great attempt at a pulse bomb stick, and while Ariel was there trying to DM it, doesn't land, and well, all in all, trades going back and forth. Both DPS have been taken out of the equation, one from each team, and now it's a scrappy fight. Sheer Cold though coming out on top, once again defending Fourth Dimension, but I'm excited to see this nano pig, or this nano come in from the holy pig.
Honestly, this is going to be interesting, right? Where they're going to have that Dragon Blade. Well, not for this fight, anyway. Just taking them out. But they're going to have it, right? They're going to have it for the next fight. Asuki's not going to have the Deadeye to counteract it either. So once Sobek or Andraiko builds up a support ultimate, that could be the button. Just, press the support ultimate with the Genji Blade and see what the Holy Pig could do. Give them maximum resources. Let them shine. I think that's what Fourth Dimension need to do to finally get Point C across the line.
And I don't necessarily mind the sound barrier for the backline while the Holy Pig goes forward to dive and continue putting pressure on towards Sheer Cold's backline. I've seen a lot of combinations come through, and Krandop almost goes down, pops the minefield at the very end of their health bar and manages to skirt out of the way. There's a Dragon Blade finding one, does get taken down though, just after one kill. Ariel going back and forth in the kill feed though. Now, Fourth Dimension trying to get their footing. There's a great stick coming through from Kinesin, and there it is, Fourth Dimension filling the kill feed one after another, and caps this 3 points, Ocean.
Wow. That was really funny, really fun and awesome from Fourth Dimension. I mean, it was funny as well, just to see something like this work on the Contenders trial stage. Sometimes you gotta laugh at it a little bit, but it was a nicely executed last team fight. As soon as Andraiko pressed that Transcendence, that was the go button for Fourth Dimension. And yes, Holy Pig's Dragon Blade only got 1 kill, but it was the 1 kill they needed. Because AMJ, if they live through that, they get that rally off, and Sheer Cold with their defensive respawn advantage will win that team fight, no doubt about it. So 40, target priority was good, the execution of their play was good, and they're rewarded nicely. 3 points and 57 seconds left in their time bank on Hollywood. Not bad for 4D.
Yeah, and I don't think Sheer Cold was prepared. I think after those first 2 maps, it seems like they got a little bit complacent going into this third map at Hollywood, and the opening pick absolutely set the tempo for Fourth Dimension to just continue pushing forward. It felt like they opened the gates by pushing Sheer Cold off balance and then continued to keep them pushed off balance over and over and over. And that's the kind of momentum setting I have to say is really refreshing coming through for this, potential match point for Sheer Cold.
Yeah, so Sheer Cold, if they want to finish this series here and now improve that they'll compete in Contenders, honestly, I need to see them come back and win this map. Let's see if they're capable of it. I mean, we know they're capable, but can they do it? That's what the thing is for Sheer Cold. They're capable of a lot. They just need to do. They've got Aski and Hydrangea. Aski trying to set himself up on this side.
Okay, a little bit of a scrappy fight here on this side. Everyone from Sheer Cold grouped up and trying to stay healthy and healed up. Asking gets the first pick though onto Andraiko, and that is going to just open the gates up for Sheer Cold. They're down at, Fourth Dimension is down a healer and down the Discord, which is even more damage on that front, with Chase Torch also going down on top of it. It's going to be an uphill battle. They are still not giving it up easily though, as they know they want to stall out time and they want to try to make a stand as much as they can. Sheer Cold though still putting in the damage, Ocean, and looking to cap this first point.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fight win for Sheer Cold. However, Lucio does get loose, so it might be an opening for 4D. Okay, that opening's been shut down as soon as I said. Asking loves to do that. Right, every single time there's an opening for 4D, and I'm like, okay, 4D, you've got a chance here to come. And Asking just kill 2 or cancel the Genji play. Like, that's exactly what Asking can do. Just in like a split second, Asking can make those sort of plays.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone is to enable the casting curse onto us, it's gonna be Asking. And, well, look at him, continuing to just fire and get the nastiest shots onto Fourth Dimension. They can't even approach very easily without getting significantly chunked down, and that is always difficult in a fight if you can't even engage easily. Now, Fourth Dimension, though, continuing to try to hold this defense here as they have to commit this sound barrier as well. Sobek in the back line here, trying to do their best to keep the team alive, but oh, it is getting dicey here, and we are pushing really far back now, back towards the first objective, kind of far. A really crazy fight back here in the back line, Ocean, and well, it is still Sheer Cold not moving the payload quite yet, but gonna have all the freedom to do so now.
Yeah, Sheer Cold, they get some momentum, but Fourth Dimension, they get a little bit of time off the clock in here, and they can afford to have some team fights like that where they just get time off the bank because they have the luxury of already having attacked and got 3 points on the board. It's going to be interesting to see how Holy Pig gets value out of that Dragon Blade. They've got the Transcendence to help White again. Okay,
Another opening pick from Asking. Man, that is just common here. He gets stuck with the Pulse Bomb and is taken down. Can't dodge that one without the help of your support there. Now Hydrangea getting aggressive, but Fourth Dimension still getting a couple kills in their favor, so it could be anyone's fight at this point until there's the Pulse Bomb thrown. Doesn't find a stick target though, so Fourth Dimension able to try to stabilize a bit. They're gonna have some ultimates online, but this is looking rough. Oh man, taken down by Hydrangea. Poor Draco just absolutely hunted by that Tracer over and over again, Ocean.
Yeah, Tracer Duel getting a little bit messy for Hydrangea here, so this team fight still can get flipped in favor of Fourth Dimension. However, Kinesion is the Tracer that goes down in the end.
Points still moving forward here, 3:12 on the clock, so quite a hardy time bank for Sheer Cold, and it looks like Fourth Dimension is really distracted with the fight on the far side to be stalling the point. Now they're getting the kills in their favor as both DPS are out of the equation, and now they are taking down the members of Sheer Cold.
Honestly, this is quite well played from Fourth Dimension, because you can see that these fights are getting very messy, right? That's what Fourth Dimension wants. They want to like maybe take it isolated duels with the Braven getting kills on the Tracer, just like that. Nice. Good timing from Braven, thank you very much for that. Holy Pig maybe gets like a 1v1 with the Dragon Blade. Ariel can isolate players. The problem is, if you lose a duel like that, and now Sheer Cold have the opportunity to just walk into this space after Asking he's taken out in Draco.
Getting a little scrappy here on the point, but of course the Hammond can roll away to the health pack, no problem there. Gonna be Sheer Cold though, looking to aggress forward and move this payload all the way to the second point. The clock is ticking and they're looking for that opportune moment to strike and still also maintain the space and high ground they want. Sound barrier is committed though from Sobek, and now Fourth Dimension has been reinforced. Not enough though, as Asking takes down the Tracer with the high noon on that front, throws the flashbang down and just stun people, get one shot. And now, once again, we have a chaotic fight here on the point. There's still people going back and forth, but Fourth Dimension rolling back and trying to regroup.
Yeah, I think Sheer Cold will clean this up before D will get a little bit of time off the bank, and that's nice for them, right? Because we're already looking at maybe like 3 minutes or so for Sheer Cold on their point C offense, so yeah, they might capture, but it won't be with a big time back, and 4D will at least be on like sort of level footing with them. 4D as well will have Dragon Blade for this next team fight. Yes, they're getting staggered right now, but once we get that next team fight, 6v6, 4D are in a pretty good position. The problem is, what's going to support that Dragon Blade, other than like a Chase Torch engagement or like an aerial defense matrix, right? Is that going to be enough to help him?
Pulse Bomb comes through, and oh, it's a good thing the Holy Pig was there to deflect all that damage for his friend. Asking does take down Chase Torch, though, as the opening pick for Sheer Cold, and now Fourth Dimension is definitely at a disadvantage with their tank on the way back. Sheer Cold rolling the payload forward, and now there's the Dragon Blade popped by the Holy Pig, going through, looking to slice everyone in this small room. There's one, and the rest of the team is able to follow up and get those kills. A couple people left from Sheer Cold on the payload, but they're going to be pushed off because Fourth Dimension is going to have the numbers.
Honestly, that is such an awesome team fight from Fourth Dimension. They lost their main tank early and they didn't panic. They just waited for the correct moment and then they go in at the right time with the Dragon Blade and take that team fight win. Problem is, now there's another opening for Sheer Cold. They've had way too many of these openings. Ariel waiting to come back on that diva.
Yeah, and Holy Pig definitely choosing the right location to pop that Dragon Blade. Small room, not a lot of escape. There's a big fight coming through. The stun comes through, though, onto the Tracer, forced to recall. She gets the Pulse Bomb stick onto the high noon. McCree right there, but does get taken down in response. The teams are evened up with one DPS missing from each side. And now, Holy Pig takes down Lucer on top of it, removing the Baptiste from the equation of Sheer Cold. Sheer Cold's down a healer, and it's going to be tough trying to sustain through the fight here. Hydrangea taking out the opposing healer, but now they're gone themselves. It is a back and forth fight here, but the spawn advantage is in favor of Fourth Dimension, and they're going to be doing everything they can in their power to prevent Sheer Cold from pushing forward. 2 kills coming through from Sheer Cold. That Ant Matrix is going to be even nastier to try to sidestep for Fourth Dimension, but they're going to have to do their best. It's a big scrappy, or a big transcendence coming through, and now it's over. There's no one else to keep alive and no way to sustain healing through fourth dimension. Sheer Cold continuing to just flood onto the point and get kill after kill. Fourth dimension doing their best, but it looks like finally the point is going to be capped with, actually, it was, if I recall correctly, 33 seconds left. So obviously bumped up to a minute, but Ocean, we're going to a 4th round.
You know what? That was a pretty good guess. It was 32 seconds left. Well done. That was good. That was good. Look, that's good for 4th dimension still, right? You have an extra 25 seconds, and yeah, that might not be like an extra full team fight, but it is a setup for a team fight. And when we're seeing these like weird, chaotic, like Tracer team fights, an extra little bit of setup does not go, or it does go a long way to help
Totally.
take at least point A here on a map like Hollywood. Sheer Cold, they're playing to, you know, assert dominance and make sure they get that contenders spot, or at least scare the other teams at contenders. 4D, they're playing to, you know, not get eliminated right now, so they've got a little bit more to play for. The question is, are Sheer Cold gonna let that happen?
Sheer Cold, if they are looking to set themselves apart from the other Contenders Trials teams to truly be a menace in Contenders, they are going to have to show us a pretty sound and dominating offense and defense. Otherwise, 4th dimension could come back and, well, if Sheer Cold doesn't get their act together, could turn this map in their favor.
It absolutely could. Sheer Cold here, they have the advantage of attacking first in the setting. You know, well, actually, there was more of a disadvantage. I think about it. So 4D will have a win condition after this, right? The Sheer Cold, yeah, they get to set the pace, right? They get to try and get after the position and threaten 4D. They've already threatened them enough to take out Draco.
That's a big pick coming through, and another one in favor of Sheer Cold. There's back and forth picks going through the Ocean, and it could still be anyone's fight. The point is starting to be capped here by Sheer Cold, as NKZ does get another kill on top of it, but oh, Hydrangea in the back line, absolutely deadly, trying to take down Sobek, and Sobek giving Jukes of his life on the Lucio front. The point, 2 points capped here. It's going to be a stall game. Who can touch and stall out just a little bit longer? And, oh, okay. A pick comes through from Andraco. That's good on to asking, but Ocean, point cap and OT bar is going to be triggered.
They're going to go, though. They got to go into asking. This is their best time to go. They did get the point, though, and it's going to be difficult for 4E to squeeze out this advantage.
Yeah, OT bar trickling down. Got to stay on the point if you want it to stay active. And 4th dimension, all they need to do is clear out Sheer Cold off the point, but asking being absolutely lethal and just getting pick after opening pick onto the team. Gonna be tough for them to continue pushing into this here, as the point is just flying forward with 3 people on it. Hydrangea getting another pick on the opposing Tracer, which is gonna put 4th dimension hurting and us in an uphill battle for this next fight.
Honestly, that kill from Draco on asking might have been the worst thing that could have happened to them, because then they felt the need to go aggressive. That kill on the Hydrangea, though, won't be.
Oh, High Noon comes through and Chase Torch does fall to it. Not really tough coming through for Sheer Cold. Now Genji Blade is popped by 4th dimension. And
Oh, no!
they get off the point, Ocean!
I don't think it really mattered, because Holy Peak was starting to get value from that Dragon Blade. But maybe like an extra, you know, couple of meters from Sheer Cold to add on to their already impressive feat. It's a pretty good effort for a minute, but 4th dimension are definitely capable of hitting that mark. They only need to get around halfway through point B. They've got a minute 25 to get ready and set up for that.
Yeah.
Can they do it? That's the real question. How much do they care about saving this trial season? We'll have to wait and find out. Only they can answer that question.
We'll have to see if they can leave it all here on the Hollywood map. If they can unlock this first point, it's possible their momentum could easily carry them forward. Sheer Cold does seem to be, you know, still a bit off balance. I like their offense on that last one. Seems like a little bit more confident, but I'm curious how 4th dimension is going to open up this map when, you know, the Widowmaker pick probably isn't on the table for this one.
Well, asking for sure is not going to be taking that aggressive angle against Sandra again. I think they learned from their mistake that time around. And they're going to play the more consistent McCree pick here. I think I like this because, of course, if they play Ash here, they could get walked on by Ariel Sobek. any member really of the fourth dimension team they now at least have either the roll or the flashbang is nice utility here, so that's nice for asking. They still have that consistent hit scan poking threat that you would have with an eye, so I like this from Sheer Cool.
And an early pick here onto Andraco from Crandop, and Crandop gets taken down themselves in response. Sobek, another bloodthirsty support kill coming through, and now Fourth Dimension continuing to push forward onto the point. They've moved around here into this side hallway and are taking space on this high ground, but it's going to be about how they want to engage and really go for these kills here. Immortality Field committed in for the backline, but Andraco gets picked in the back by Hydrangea. Another kill coming through as well. Sheer Cold now getting their footing on the defensive, and Fourth Dimension going to have to regroup if they want a chance at having another solid team fight.
Hydrangea is so darn good, but the opening trade Crandall versus Draco is so important because Crandall, one, gets back early to the fight, and Draco is going to be isolated, walking back on their own as it's in Yata. Hydrangea got the kill on Draco again later on in that fight.
Asking up here on this high ground, so deadly, so unhindered. Ariel does get the first pick though onto Hydrangea, so that could open the doors for Fourth Dimension to push forward. Now Anja's out of the picture too, and now Fourth Dimension getting the kills they need to cap this first point. Ocean, it is looking super promising for them as the OT bar has been triggered, and that's going to be them able to cap this first point here in Hollywood.
I think they need to get out. They need to walk backwards so they get an early team fight on point B and then maybe another half a team fight afterwards. Actually, no, never mind. Scratch all that. That's an opening. They can take a little bit more space and they will guarantee get an early team fight on point B. They're not going to do what 4G did and just go straight in. They're just going to wait and take an early team fight so they get a second one later on.
Yeah, oh, two pulse bomb kill coming in from Kinesion, and that is going to be absolutely massive. The DPS are putting in so much work on this fight, Ocean, and continuing to carry and allow Fourth Dimension to stay in the game and push the payload forward.
Two things though, Pulse Bomb and Transcendence, both used from Fourth Dimension. They have a lot of other ultimates, but Asking will have Deadeye, Holy Pig, we'll have Dragon Blade on the other side. That's the matchup I want to see. The DPS, Holy Pig, Asking who's up to the task, who wants to win this map more.
It's going to be time for them to step up to the plate and really seal the deal for their team if they want to take this map win. An early stun comes through, taking down Chase Torch, but Sound Barrier has reinforced everyone else on Fourth Dimension. Asking and Hydrangea are just absolutely lethal and cutthroat in the backline, and just enabled Sheer Cold to win that map right there.
Honestly, I have no clue what possessed Asking to hit that headshot and then the melee onto the Holy Pig. I don't know if it would have mattered too much. I don't know if even 4D managed to get a couple more kills with that Dragon Blade, they would have been able to extend that advantage over to the objective. I don't think they would have, but just the fact that Asking you to just do that on a win, every single time Holy Pig looks to get it set up for a team fight, take a kill, it's happened 3 or 4 times now. Yes, Holy Pig's had some awesome Dragon Blade team fights, but more often than not, just Asking alone could stop that from happening.
Yeah. And with the primary fire, like normal Peacekeeper fire that's reloaded and unlimited with no cooldown.
Asking so good.
Right? So deadly on that front. And, you know, when someone is that proficient with just a normal resource in the kit of a character, it's definitely a huge challenge to go up against. And I have to say, Fourth Dimension really, really turned it around there on that last Hollywood map and made it a tough fight for Sheer Cold. I don't think Sheer Cold was ready at all for that type of performance from Fourth Dimension.
No, they really weren't. I don't think any team would have prepared for that sort of... Let's put it harshly this time around. It'd been quite nice when nonsense from Fourth Dimension, right? You know, nobody goes into a Contenders Trials game preparing for it. At least it was Zenyatta, Genji, Tracer, it's the Diva. Maybe if this was the start of Overwatch, we could, you know, talk about that being a preparation thing, but honestly, Sheer Cold, it's so difficult to prepare for that. I thought after the break, they could have been stronger against 4D's wacky composition. They weren't really, and 4D almost took Hollywood.
Yeah.
Sheer Cold, they stay unbeaten. They stay as that team I think will compete in Contenders as well as Fusion University with the already existing 4 teams in Contenders. But when they're playing these lesser teams, they got to step up and make sure they win these games a little bit stronger. Otherwise, I'm not so sure they can compete at that level. I want to see a little bit more from Sheer Cold.
I agree. If they do want to compete at a high level, they are going to have to really polish up and clean up some of those smaller and scrappier mistakes that cause such a chaotic fight and cause the fights to just be overly long, overly taxing on resource consumption and ultimate economy. And those are the small things that teams need to manage and be conscious of that will really set them apart and give them that edge in contenders and as they, continue to grow and develop. So, gonna have a lot of eyes on these guys as they progress through and, got their spot in the contenders.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see them there yet again. They've been a mainstay in European contenders for quite a long time. Of course, almost knocking British Hurricane down to trials in the previous edition of Contenders. We'll get to talk with one of the Sheer Cold players in just a second. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with a Sheer Cold player in just a second.
Hey folks, welcome back. We have with us NKZ from our victor from our previous match of Sheer Cold versus oh my gosh, I just had a brain fart. Thank you, Fourth Dimension. Oh my. NKZ, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us and congratulations on your win. Tell us about, how you and your team are feeling coming off of that and what your mindset is for your future matches coming up.
Well, this match wasn't particularly hard for us. We were more prepared for like Disaster, Raspberry, and in a couple of days, Funi University, which are our big matches. So, for me personally, this was a good victory since Fourth Dimension is my old team, where I came from when I joined Sheer Cold. And we're happy, of course, because we guaranteed our contender spot. But for our future matches, looking forward to the Funi University match. And in Contenders, we hopefully get at least top 4.
Awesome.
Nice.
I have 2 questions. So the first question is on an individual standpoint. So when you were coming to the end of your Fourth Dimension tenure, and eventually went to Sheer Cold. Personally, for me, I was a bit shocked, right? Because I didn't think that was going to be the move. I didn't think you were going to go there. When you went to Sheer Cold, and how you've now been with them for a while, how do you think you've personally developed on that roster?
I think personally I've developed a lot since I've been scrimming Contenders teams constantly, and of course grinding the game. And playing with players who have played on a higher level is also very, can learn a lot from them. So I think I've personally like become much better than I was before.
That's awesome. Because I thought in particular you had an awesome series in that 32 game versus British Hurricane. Not to remind you of that unlucky defeat. I thought you were absolutely excellent. I think I was talking on call with some other casters like this kid is now absolutely prime. Now moving on to sheer cool, right? You know, you've secured yourself into contenders. You want to get that top 4 spot. That's a narrative we've been building for y'all as well, because you guys have been improving so much in this trial season, and we're so close to getting the top 4 in the last Contenders European edition. What things do you think you guys need to work on to secure that top 4 against teams like British Hurricane, EXO, SMC, and New Kings?
Well, back then we were like fairly a new team. Like the core was there, of course, but we had new players like me and Asking who just joined. And I think now that we built up some synergy, worked together a long time, and understand each other way better, I think we're able to like win against all the top teams. We have a shot against every single one of them.
All right, awesome. I'll hand you back to Waffles for a couple more questions.
Yeah, well, you talk about your synergy with the team and how you've been growing and developing since joining Sheer Cold. Why don't you give us an insight to kind of what it means and what it's like to be on Sheer Cold for, you know, such a prestigious now Contenders team, definitely guaranteed in that spot?
Well, like Sheer Cold has currently 4 Dutch players, which I am one of. I've never been on a team with like any Dutch player at all, actually. So it feels great to have like some people, you know, from your own country, and we get along great. Like there's no like real pressure on each other, right? Like we're not angry at each other in scrims or whatever. We always chill with each other, and I think that's a good environment to improve in. We also like push each other, of course. We don't just like say nothing and just let shit happen, right?
Yeah. That's good. It sounds like you guys are, you know, keeping each other on your toes. Who would you say is really like the glue for your team and actually, you know, keeps you all in the right mental state when things get hectic in game or, you know, maybe off game?
Kran up in game. He's our pretty much our in-game leader. He is the driving engine behind us, and you know, he just helps us win games, helps us win fights by like very good comms and leading, right? In terms of mental, I mean, I'm a pretty positive guy, to be honest. I never get mad, you know. So you know, I'm a good mental guy. I'm a good mental coach. I can help people get back up into the game.
Nice. Awesome. I mean, everyone needs those rocks on their team that keep everyone grounded and you know, down to earth. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to shout out or give thanks to or highlight?
William, my man, he just became 17 and he's actually cracked. He's really good at the game, and I think he has a very bright future. So yeah, he's my shout out for today.
Nice. Well, happy birthday also to him over there, getting to be older at 17 for sure. And Casey, thank you so much for joining us. And, you know, once again, congratulations on your win. Fantastic performance this afternoon, and best of luck for all of your upcoming matches.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, folks. Well, that is going to round up our match for this afternoon. Don't go anywhere, though. There is plenty more Overwatch to come down the road. I know Ocean here is going to be on the analysis side with you for a bit longer. But coming up, we have Obey Alliance versus Malice. And then, of course, one to keep your eye on, the Drifters versus Wisp. So lots of things coming down the pipeline. I'm Waffles for Sid as your play-by-play. It was fantastic being here with all of you. And Ocean, I had such a pleasure casting with you today. Anything you want to say or close out with?
Oh, no, actually, I was asking, how did you find your first Trials cast? You know, you're kind of thrown in here. Did you enjoy it?
You know, I gotta say, I was just so excited to have this opportunity. When I found out I was actually casting with you, I was really stoked. I've seen your past work and I love your critical analysis as well. Obviously, Contenders Trials has some huge talent to keep your eyes on, and getting to actually be in the thick of it and feel even more like I'm enjoying those moments with the players more by casting them and sharing them with everyone here in the audience. Just is so exciting and is the reason why I do love and enjoy casting, to try to share that emotion and bring that same enthusiasm, or some of those shocking pulse bombs or sticks that we saw come through. So really grateful for everyone, and thanks again to you, of course.
All right, so I think that's gonna wind up our show. Don't miss North America later on. It's gonna be awesome. We still have more European action throughout this week. I think that's going to end our broadcast for Europe, though. Congratulations to Share Cold. Congratulations to Old and Board. We'll see you next time.